The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed on this show are not to be presented as facts or an indicting nature to any party, viewing, or mention. We hope you're entertained. Thanks for watching. Here, hello.
I'm here too.
Welcome to episode 54.
This is the driest opening ever.
We getting there.
What you talking about?
Like, sometimes things gotta build up. You just can't dive in.
You missed me on the show last show. Y'all ain't have me, G.
Did I miss you? That's
You didn't miss me on the show?
an interesting question.
Wow.
I mean, you were here. You just went on the show, but we had a great show.
It was an amazing show. Shout out to our guest, T. Murph and Ray Shonda. I love Ray Shonda.
Thank you. Runs in the family.
Ray Shonda should come over here more often.
She should.
I'm dropping shit.
She only a flight away, baby.
Shout out to Ray Shonda.
How you feeling, Cody?
Today is one of them days. I'm pushing through though. Pushing through. How you feeling?
I'm here. I feel like my voice, like the weather trying to get to me.
I felt that earlier too.
A little congested. But you know, God is good. We here.
God is great.
I was trying to pull up the running show.
I'm trying to see what nephew got to say, but I don't think nephew here today.
Nephew not here. We got somebody else in nephew's seat.
Check out who in nephew's seat.
Hey, Big Dilla.
The legend himself, Shermann, Dilla. Mr. Thomas? Which one is Mr. Thomas? Dilla? What we call
What
you
do
today?
you go by these days?
Dilla.
Dilla.
Still Dilla.
Still Dilla.
Happy to be here with y'all, man. I tell y'all all the time, man. Y'all such an inspiration to me. So, shout out y'all, man.
Shout out, you be inspiring us.
You inspiring us, bro. Real talk. Like I think we all have a similar mission when it comes to just making sure Chicago look good in the media space. And you know, like I said, you inspire us. You don't understand how much just looking at your content and just how you take perspectives of different things of the city and make sure you put it on the forefront. Like we do the same thing. Like it's more than just music. Like you talk about like high school histories and like different notable people where they went to school at, like just dope shit. For like I seen you was at the Emmett Till crib the other day.
Yeah.
Like just teachings, like certain things I learned about Chicago just by the content you put.
I took Evanston Township High School by Emmett Till crib, and every time I do a tour in Woodlawn, I start at Oblock. Then we go to Emmett Till just so we can do like that shift in the perspectives, right? Of telling the history of both and making sure that people are aware that there's this like level of stuff happening in Chicago, right? It's not just a surface thing. But I really appreciate y'all. I dig what y'all be on too. I saw Breezy getting all the fresh J's.
You know, I get blessed every once in a while. God is good. God is good.
Shout out to DTL, all the good friends and family over there at DTL.
Shout out to Jordan Brand. Appreciate y'all for recognizing women in Chicago. Because, you know, women in Chicago don't be getting our flowers like we should. So, I appreciate Jordan and DTLR for doing what they did for us.
That's what's up. Keep doing it for them. And
For them.
And our west side's 9.5 to a 10.
Man.
Y'all want to do it for us.
Y'all cannot
Although
take
I
my
just got me plugged with the good folks in Nike Chicago. So
Okay.
every now and again I can get my bag on too. You know, I try not to hit them up unless I miss the drop, and then I'm calling and begging. But
Okay, sure. Dill, I will 9.5 to a 10 too. Shit.
that part.
Okay, it's almost Christmas.
Yeah, let a brother know. For real. I know you got kids, but shit, hook a brother up.
Ain't none of them in a size 10, so we get you covered, you know. We get you covered.
I bet. So what we want to start the show at today?
We want to start with Dilla. You know, Dilla been having some interesting things going on lately.
Man, that's
We
an
definitely can
understatement.
start with
We
Dilla.
can start with Dilla.
That's an understatement.
What would you describe it as? Because it's like we see what happens, and then it's like you always come out with like something new or something fresh, and we like, okay, Dilla doing good, but that don't necessarily mean that you doing good.
Well, I appreciate you for even phrasing it that way. Overall, I am doing good. I did take a mouth shot. I'm not too ashamed to say I didn't take it, right? Or I'm not one of them people that's gonna be acting like I ain't heard or salty or none of that. That don't do nobody no good, right? We complex people. You got complex range of emotions. You should express those emotions. One thing I say it all the time when I'm talking to young folks, like pretending that we all straight when most of us have been to more funerals than weddings. We not all straight. You know what I mean? Like we need to stop pretending that. But for me, I trusted in a company that I had been with for more than a decade. I was working at ComEd as an area operator. Great job, high voltage electrician, making like 130 a year. Just a really, really good job, great benefits. And then my social media platform took off. Mm-hmm. And then at that same exact time, ComEd got a new CEO. I'm gonna set my garlic bread down so you don't hear it rattling because I want to bite it. But at the same time, my platform take off. ComEd get this new CEO. And the previous CEO went to jail for bribery, right? For bribing the state legislator and all of that. And so they was on this whole, we trying to shift how we look to the public sort of thing, right? We want to be more community minded. So when the new CEO touched down, first thing he do is he tap in with me. And he like, man, I love what you're doing for the city. I love how you lifting the company up for this positive situation. And we want to do more of that. So we also want to give you a space to grow your brand, right? And so that you can tap into this historian thing. So he came to me, he said, hey, quit your union job and then become the digital content manager for ComEd. It's going to come with a pay cut, but it's going to be work from home. You'll just it'll be task oriented, you know what I'm saying? This is what we didn't want you to do it. And when you're done, you go do whatever the hell you want. And that's what allowed me to start doing the tours during the day. That's what allowed me to travel, start doing speaking engagements, start doing more social media content. But in that, I'm like, yo, union jobs are protected from layoffs and mass firings. Yeah. Management jobs is not. So if I take this position, what protections do I have? And in hindsight, it's silly when I say it out loud, but in that moment, I'm talking to it. Don't get no higher than the CEO. And he like, man, Dilla, you are a TikTok star. What on God green earth would we lay you off for? Like that, there's no benefit in that for us to lay you off when you bring in all this. You know, I took him to meet the governor, right? He didn't meet the governor but through me. I took him at the time. He was Mayor Lightfoot was the mayor. I took him to meet the mayor, right? I walked him into all these Chicago doors that I had organically opened. And since he was new, I didn't have anything to judge him off of but his word. You know what I'm saying? So he like, nah, you're going to be straight. We know you got the 7 kids. We wouldn't do you like that. So at his word, I took the new position because I also, I won't sit here in front like it didn't allow me the space to grow my brand. It did, And anyway, 18 months later, I walk into the office. And they like, hey, we got to talk to you. They give me a letter. I'm like, oh, read the letter. They're like, yeah, you're getting laid off September 27th. I'm like, wait a minute. That ain't what bro said was gonna happen, right? We ain't even 2 years into this role, like, and because I was more than a year outside my old role, I couldn't go back to the union. So it's really like just boxed me in. So the most hurtful part about that is I'm calling bro. Like before that, he Johnny on the spot. You know what I mean? Calling, hey Dilla, can you, my daughter want to do this, my wife want to do that. Can you make this connection? So I call him like, hey man, I just got a layoff notice. Bro don't answer. Text don't answer. So then, us guys know how that goes. You text somebody and your joint go green. This mofo done just blocked your boy.
No,
like,
he didn't.
How that work, right?
Damn, G, you got blocked?
Got blocked, dirty style. So now I'm hitting up the other HR people. And they end up laying off 70 people. So I don't want to sit here and act like I'm above being laid off. All us in this room before then caught that kind of L. But there was no such thing as a digital content manager at ComEd. They created that role for me, right? Drew up the job title and description and everything. And so, like I said, in hindsight, I probably should have got a lot more stuff in writing. But, it is what it is. I learned a lesson. I'm talking to lawyers now and trying to see what our legal approach can be. The problem with that is, one, they're going to drag it out forever and a day. And then that could end up costing me money. And then the second part of it is sometimes when you sue folks, then it becomes like the general public thinks that you only are doing this for money. And then that also can hurt your brand. You know what I'm saying? And then I don't want other corporations and corporate clients that I've developed relationships in Chicago to feel any kind of way, right? Black, white, purple, and green. As soon as you get people involved, everybody like, hey, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's tough. And as a Chicagoan, I feel like I took a mouth shot and I should do something about it, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm in schools every single day telling kids that, being vengeful, even if you get your lick back, it don't erase the pain. You still be salty. You know what I'm saying? So trying to also take my own advice. You know what I'm saying? But on the flip side, I'm dropping a show on YouTube. It's called You Don't Know Shy.
Okay.
Really, really excited about it. So we self-financed about 5 episodes. We're in the process of filming more now. We got Ryan Fest on there. We got this brother, Mike Moreno Jr. He's the president of the Chamber of Commerce for Little Village, right? Cool Mexican cat. We even got Lori Lightfoot on one of the episodes, right? So
TT Lori.
TT Lori is hilarious, bro. Straight up. So things is doing good. The tours is going crazy. My merch still in the airport. We doing pretty good on that, you know. Then I take like things into perspective, man. You know, I woke up this morning, my wife still fine, my pit bull still ate. You know, the lights came on when I hit the switch. You know what I'm saying? So we straight.
Man, I kind of hate that shit happened to you, brother. I ain't even know Carmel was giving it up like that. Cause when I saw the story, you know what I thought? I thought this was some old shit that happened, and then you would just tell it like they were just doing like a profile piece on you, like this how you got into content creator. I didn't know this was a whole thing while you was like working with them, while you was doing your content. So that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's damn.
It just goes to show you, you know, all of us gotta be better stewards of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Don't be scared to say, put that in writing, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No, okay, because I've learned that lesson too. But I do commend you for speaking out, because even after I read the story, you know, I was calling you like, the streets is here for you, we got you. But even I was talking to someone like my digital creator friends, and they were saying how, you know, like we've been through the same thing because of situations like we want to get cool with the people that's higher than us or in like executive levels of like companies that we want to work with. So sometimes we scared to ask for certain things because it might turn into just an elimination overall. But I appreciate you for speaking up, because I went through something similar a couple of years ago. So
Man, and they offered me a severance, but the severance package said I would have to sign an NDA. And you know, you especially what they was offering, right? That wasn't enough to not have me tell my story.
No,
But at
for
the same time, what I noticed, man, even like watching y'all platform, watching other people, everybody. My brother said all the time, it's the coldest shit ever. He said, when you die, all your regrets gonna come stand around your bed. Make sure your room is empty. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that just felt like something I was gonna regret. Something, you know, not being able to tell my own story. Like, what's the price on that, right? It's like how dudes be signing away their masters, and then they pissed off about it years later that they not getting paid off of their work or their own story. So, yeah, I was like, nah, y'all can keep it, you know.
I'm glad you're speaking on it. I'm glad you didn't take that package, because one of the key things about in this content space is that, and even just like in entertainment period, like people don't understand their value and their worth. Like we take that quick bag up front, and then like you say, 10 years down the line, we be like, damn, I messed up and stuff like that. Like even with building a business, like people don't understand like this, it's a slow grind, but once you build it, like that equity in building it and that foundation, like it helps you out. We talk about generational wealth. It helps you out for generations because you have a system, a well-oiled machine, you know?
Yeah, somebody can just walk into and keep it running,
Keep it running.
Man, I learned so much just again, watching stories y'all share, watching others. It reminded me of the homie Spenzo. And, you know, every Chicago party I go to, they play his song all the time. And, bro, had let it be known that he didn't own the majority percentage of his song, you know what I'm saying? And just like we should be learning from them lessons and not repeating them, you know what I mean? And as a historian, that's all I'm about, right? Teaching us the lessons of the past so we can use them today to like push ourselves forward. So, yeah, but our new show gonna be fire. It's on YouTube, so we got a little more creative license, right, as opposed to it being on the network. And seeing some amazing stuff. You know, the boy Corporate riding around in a really nice Escalade, all from betting on himself. Right?
this is true. Okay.
That's an example of that. You know what I'm saying? Like Corporate actually is like living life, just basically betting off himself and creating a business around his content.
Yeah.
I was going to say community plays a huge part in it. You have built the community, you say, like people that support you regardless. So do you feel like it's going to be an easy shift to shift that content in your community to your YouTube?
I work on like a 10, 15% margins, right? So if I got 130,000 followers on TikTok, if 10 to 15% of them follow me over to YouTube, that's a good starting point, right? You know what I'm saying? If out the gate we grab 10,000, 20,000 views, that'll tell the algorithm to put me in a certain space, and then that'll allow me to organically grow. So I think so, but I think the city also has an appetite to learn more about itself, right? Like we proud to be from Chicago. We proud of Chicago. And so anytime we can learn more about ourselves and our people, we typically tap in. And yeah, the community been showing up for me. Like I said, Breezy called me like 1:30 in the morning. I'm looking at the phone when I wake up, like, man, what I miss? They was throwing a kick-ass party or something. She's like, no, fool, we just wanted to tell you that we got your back. You know
It was
what I'm
my
saying?
birthday. Everybody was at my house, and we just randomly started talking. I think I read the story like 2 days before, and we just started talking about it. And I was like, you know what? Let me call him and see if he up.
Yeah, that part. No, it's been, man, I didn't even know that I had that type of support, man, for real. Like, the governor called my line. Like, man, Dilla, I saw that, we appreciate what you do for the state and what you do for Chicago. Mm-hmm. So, you need anything, let us know. We got you, right? And those type of calls didn't stop me. And it's
well, I feel like the city of Chicago owe you a monthly check.
This is how you shape this image.
For sure. For 6 figures, okay?
Yeah, that part, I take it. I would definitely take it.
They got it. Taking all my boot money. I know they got it.
I definitely have been going hard on behalf of Chicago in a lot of spaces. Even when I travel internationally, you know what I mean. I'm repping the city and talking about the value of the city, talking about the benefits of starting a business in the city, and yeah, Chicago can certainly send me some bread. But the people, like I said, it's humbling, to get that type of support. All the calls, and when I made the announcement about the show, it went crazy on Instagram. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's what's up. Well, like I said, you got our support, man, all the way, G. You know what I mean? And we gonna do what we can to make sure your story get heard. And when the trailers come out for the new joint, send it our way so we can push it that way.
Right on.
My voice is going out too.
I love y'all. Y'all keep
struggling.
my blood pressure high though. I don't know why all the I don't want to call nobody stupid. All of the not so intellectually astute people find their way in y'all comments, boy. But
especially when we talk about Trump, baby, the comments go up.
I didn't even know those type of people followed us.
They find you.
I didn't know that.
They
They there though.
man.
They there. Oh man.
They talk about me all the time.
I talk about you all the time.
I could quit, right? Like, I don't have to be
Bree,
here.
you done threatened to quit like at least 4 or 5 times in the past.
And one of these days, this seat gonna be empty.
She like the mother on Everybody Hate Chris. I don't need this.
My man got 2 jobs, okay?
My wife like that in real life. She
And
can't
she
say that no
should
more
be.
though. Now I only got one, so she gotta calm down. She better pipe down now.
Talking about not too much.
Oh man. All right, so you are a part of a lot of dope projects, and like you said, we start the storytelling of Chicago. Our brother that we about to bring on virtually, y'all had collab on a lot of things, and y'all collabed on this upcoming project, and he's doing his storytelling thing. So as we get into this conversation, everybody.
I like your segue. I'm proud of you.
I got better. You see, I got better with that shit. All right, our brother, we want to bring on everybody. Give a round of applause for Dometi, man.
Dometi.
Oh, no. Segway game going too crazy.
I can't hear him.
Well, we gotta turn him up.
I say the Segway game going too
He's
crazy.
growing.
I see what's going
Okay.
on.
Can
Can y'all hear me all right?
Yeah, Dometi a professional. He got the mic, he got the lighting on him and everything.
I bet I had to. You know what I'm saying? I watched the show. I was like, I need to match the energy.
We appreciate that.
We appreciate that, man. I like that, man. I like
For sure.
So how you feeling, brother?
Man, excellent. I'm so glad that my brother Dilla was on this project with me. I was like, y'all, I was so upset when I heard what happened. I'm like, he texted me like, yo, did you see the story? I said I tweeted it already, man. I'm already knee deep. Whatever you need. So, but it just goes to the power of this ecosystem that we have. That he had the time to donate his knowledge to us for the 48 Hours podcast that we just did, and that's why it's so important that we hold each other down because of things like this. We are our own backbone. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate you, brother. I really do, man. You know how we rocking, though, man. Anything you need, let me know. I'm 100% down. We are certainly proud of the work that you've been doing and the way you represent the city and all that good stuff, man. So I appreciate you very much.
Okay, y'all some
Thank you,
Chicago
brother.
legends. I like to see this.
We got the legends in the building. That's what's up.
Okay,
Man.
well, Dometi, since you're here, let us know about this 48 Hours podcast. Because when I first saw it, I thought y'all was doing a remake again. I'm like, is this like a part 2? And then I saw it was a podcast. So I'm very interested to actually know what's going on.
I thought that too.
I thought it was like another remake.
I thought it was like they was coming out with another remake and they was using a podcast to promote it. Like a specialty joint.
Yeah.
I might need to put that in my portfolio. We might need to bring out CandyMan 5. You know, it's
Just
like
give us a finder's fee and we're fine.
that's it. We go get the deal memo going. But no, what actually happened with the podcast? The 48 Hours. I got a little bit of an echo. Pardon me. Let me turn this down a little bit to make sure. Am I echoing on your end?
Yeah, he fancy.
No, you're not echoing over here. You good over here.
Oh, perfect. No, but so 48 Hours is the CBS News TV show that's been running for 30 years that does crime and true crime stories, right? It's all on television, but for the first time, they brought it to podcast. And what we found out was there was this story. I got to shout out this producer, young black woman by the name of Morgan Canty, who's an associate producer at CBS News. She came up with this idea after talking to me, and I could talk about it. It took 3 years for this idea to come to fruition. But to make a long story short, she said, I've been researching the movie CandyMan. It's based in Chicago. We know you're from Chicago. And a lot of people didn't know that there were elements of that movie that were spurred by an actual true story. So what actually happened was a black woman in Abbott Homes actually was murdered by people who climbed in through her bathroom mirror. And they used that element to bolster the story that became the CandyMan movie. And so what the podcast is a retelling of the story of how Ruthie Mae McCoy was killed back in 1987. And it takes us down wild turns. We talk about the history of public housing, which is where Dilla comes in and schools us on what was going on at the time. We talk about infrastructure, how there were people like Charles Schwab Bell who made sure that buildings that were inhabited by predominantly African-American people didn't get the care and the repairs that they needed. And all of that culminated in this medicine cabinet murder that went on to be featured in this film. And as we talked about, like, our stories being taken from us and not receiving anything from it, Ruthie Mae McCoy's family barely got any money from the wrongful death lawsuit. They weren't mentioned in the film. It wasn't like a dedicated to a memory of, yet her name became used in the film as Ruthie Jean when her real name was Ruthie Mae. So we talk about that whole thing in a 6-part series that went on to become one of the top podcasts on Apple and Amazon and Spotify.
Damn, so it just reminded me of that story you was talking to me about. Was that you or my little sister was talking to me about the LOL girls and OMG girls? Like they just.
They took the name and made like dolls and stuff,
with the
they
rats
got like
doll thing, yep.
Yeah, I think they got like $70 million. They won in that lawsuit.
So they took this whole lady's death, took her name, and made millions off of it, and really didn't compensate them at all.
And put her name. And I actually interviewed a director and asked him that question, point blank, period. And I'm like, what is the line where there's even a scene, right? When you watch CandyMan, the 1992 CandyMan, when you first watch it, there's a scene where the main character is in the library looking up a newspaper, and the headline says, "What killed Ruthie Jean? Life in the Projects?" ? The real story, written by a journalist named Steve Bogira in the Chicago Reader, the title was, "What Killed Ruthie Mae McCoy? Life in the Projects or a Bullet in the Chest?" So they took the actual headline. They named the character Ruthie. They had the bathroom mirror murder that was a part of the film. And then they went to, Abbott Homes at Cabrini Green to scout. And they did bring on a consultant. And, they paid that woman. but they never really make mention of Ruthie Mae McCoy. And, Bernard Rose was the director of the film. And y'all can hear the interview in the podcast. It's in episode 4. He's like, man, we get inspiration from life all the time. And I said, yeah, it's the difference between inspiration and downright replication. And,
somebody's deaf at that.
And then these people, the family has to sit down and watch that. You know what I'm saying? And what does that look like? And then you got a movie like, I feel like that's why I love the CandyMan that came out in 2021 that Jordan Peele executive produced. Yaya was in it and Nia DaCosta directed it, where they talked about gentrification a little more and all of these other issues. And that made... That kind of added to the story that the original Candyman was missing, even though it went on to become a classic, So it's complex, but we get into all of it.
So I do want to say this. Boy, it's cold. Y'all know Dometi, do spoken word rapping and stuff. So he was cold. Y'all repeat that bar he said. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know y'all people.
I'm paying attention.
Y'all paying attention to it. That was cold. The boy is cold. That's why I love it. I did want to ask you, like, what made you do a podcast? Because I know you really big into like video journalism and like doing like docuseries and things like that. Like, what made you go to podcast rap?
I got all this equipment and I wasn't using it, man. I just I got mic flags, all type of things, man. I needed to use it. Nah, but for real, I actually missed podcasts because I came from radio. You know what I'm saying? As you know, I was a program director at WindyCityUnderground.com. I was a news anchor at WVON and a news director there. And then I went on to WGN. And there's something intimate about radio to me. I don't know if y'all feel this way too, but when you listen to something only in your head, you don't feel that way about that, Cody?
He doesn't work in radio. He works like the digital part of radio.
The
so
digital
he never
part.
has to put on headphones.
Oh, yeah, but I get it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? That's a story for another day. I do get it. But no, but there's something intimate to me about podcasting, and I think you can get it done quickly. With TV, if you're doing a docuseries, it's far more expensive. You got to fly to different areas. This was something that I could have. They could call me and say, yo, we got an interview, and I might be on the road doing another project. I set my mic up in the hotel room, and I get it going. So I kind of miss the medium of storytelling, and I just miss the theater of the mind, the creativity that you can do. You can take the listener anywhere with limited resources in a way that you can other platforms. And then 48 Hours was expanding that podcast department for the first time in this way. And so I wanted to be a part of something with this legendary franchise that was new. But yeah, that was, and I was thirsty to get back to true crime because I was doing MTV True Life Crime several years ago. Had done red carpets and entertainment reporting, and a lot of music reporting and all that, which I love, but I wanted to get back to something that was telling a story that I felt was important, that was bigger than me, that was bigger than just promoting somebody's album, that when I look back and when I'm far gone and left Paramount, I could say I did something that really felt like me, that was for my city, that was sincere, that was real storytelling. And, this was the perfect one.
Because I know true crime podcasts are like top tier on the podcast genre rankings. So did you think people would be so interested in the Candyman story?
I was scared. I wasn't sure because normally when you launch something like this, you want it to peg to something that's culturally relevant right now. And this is a historical story. It was deeply educational. We didn't want to sensationalize it in the marketing, so you had to be tasteful and careful. Even with the cover artist, the cover art's so dope to me. But you also want to make sure that, like, her granddaughter Keely still alive and still is around. I want to make sure that she don't see this and hates it. And not only that, I wanted it to sound hip hop. If you listen to the podcast, I don't use the news voice. I talk to y'all exactly as I'm speaking right now. I bring on Dilla, who is not going to code switch for anybody. He's going to enunciate, but Dilla is going to be himself. Kim Fox is on the podcast, and she's being her full self as a former Cabrini Green resident. And the beat selection, I literally worked with the producer who made the original scoring for the beats. I beatboxed how I wanted it to sound. And so I was nervous that the 48 Hours fans, who were a mainstream, white mom suburban audience, I didn't want them to feel alienated or feel like, oh, this podcast isn't for me. I wanted to bring them into our world and say, yo, this is a universal story. Just like we can watch your stories and feel ourselves in those stories, I want y'all to look at ours and feel yourself in ours. And I was hoping that would happen, but I wasn't sure that it would, but I'm glad it did.
You said you Well, I don't know if you said you spoke to her granddaughter, but you said her granddaughter is still alive. So
Yeah.
did you include her in the podcast?
I did speak to her. We asked for an interview, but she talked about moments where she granted an interview and she didn't like the story, so she had like a general distrust of media. You know what I'm saying? And she asked for other things that I was trying to negotiate with the company that the company wasn't able to do, and so I talked to her off the record to clarify a couple things, but she ended up not participating in the podcast. But I just emailed her as we were going throughout the story and saying, "Yo, this is what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? If at any point you don't like where this is going, just let me know." I just kept emailing her, and she decided not to be involved in it, unfortunately. But we did reach out and we did talk to her behind the scenes a little bit, but I only had one conversation with her.
Was she alive when this happened?
No, she
Born?
wasn't alive. Vernita McCoy, which is Ruthie Mae's daughter, was alive at the time that it's happened. I don't believe Keely wasn't alive when this happened, if I'm not mistaken. If she was very, very young. Yeah.
So personally, I'm not really that familiar with like the actual story. Like this kind of put me on like the actual story. So I just really want to know. You gotta wait. I gotta wait to the podcast.
He can't tell us too much.
I
I just
can't
want
tell-
to know
well,
like
I give you a
what
little
made.
more of the actual story though, because I breezed past it through at the top, but here's in a nutshell the actual story. The podcast will still be. I ain't gonna get no spoilers, but what actually happened was, and actually Dilla could probably even explain this better than me, but in these housing projects in Abbott homes, the bathroom medicine cabinets were conjoined in the corner apartments by adjacent apartments. And this was done so that plumbers could repair both apartments' plumbing at the same time because it was hard to get things fixed in these buildings. So what that meant was I could take it down the medicine cabinet in apartment 1109 and then from the other side push out the medicine cabinet in 1108 and I could work on pipes on both sides. Unfortunately, everybody who lived in these buildings knew that too. So if you lived in 1108, you could climb through the medicine cabinet to get the adjacent apartment. And there are multiple theories as to why they targeted Ruthie Mae specifically. But one night, these alleged men end up getting charged with the crime. I won't reveal what happened in the court case, but they climb into her apartment. And she calls the police and says, "Yo, somebody's trying to climb into." They coming through the bathroom, and of course the dispatcher is like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't really believe
It
you.
sounds
It sounds
yeah.
insane." So she ends up calling it a disturbance with a neighbor and not a robbery, which meant that the police didn't come with a certain level of urgency. The police arrive at the door, they can't get in, and they leave. It took them days to come back to the apartment after a neighbor went to the building's management and says, "Yo, I haven't heard from my neighbor. Everybody in this hallway said they heard gunshots the other night. What's going on?" Come to find out, Ruthie Mae had been deceased for a couple days and had been shot 4 times. And then commences the investigation. And then the director of CandyMan comes to Chicago, sees that headline, and includes that in his story about this killer that comes through the mirror.
So was Candyman already in the process of they making that movie, or this story inspired this tragic event inspired the movie?
Good question. So here's how it was told to me. What actually happened was there was a book by Clive Barker. It was a collection of short stories. This director named Bernard Rose in the UK read this book by this writer in the UK, and it was all set. Candyman was set in the UK, and it was about some woman who goes into a tenement housing. They call it public housing something different. Goes into like the projects in the United Kingdom and England, and is researching urban legends. Dude was like, "Yo, I want to make this into a movie." They said it ain't going to be made into a movie unless you do it in America because Hollywood doesn't like British accents. So he literally picked any city in America. He said, "I like Chicago because I like the architecture. It's a beautiful city." Goes to Chicago, and then he sees the headline, and that makes it a part of the story. So the story was already set in some ways, and then he goes to Chicago and adds all these elements, like the woman's name. Instead of doing it in Abbott Homes, he uses Cabrini Green because at the time you got to think Good Times was going on in Cabrini Green. And Cabrini Green was heavy in the news for crime and gangs, and just like it is today, where Chicago becomes the scapegoat or the poster child for all of these negative things. And so it's kind of a mix of both. It was already a set story, and then he adds in all of these elements that makes it undeniably about what happened to Ruthie Mae.
So, is there a moment, and maybe Lily, you could touch on this too? Like, is there an episode where you guys talk about like the racial injustices that was going on with like the projects and how, like you said, like the dispatcher, because she didn't believe that the bathroom mirror could come out the wall. It's like, oh, and then you and Cabrini Green, so we're just gonna throw this out. Like, do you guys talk about that at all?
Yeah, we did. I just heard him mention Charles Swibel, who was a guy that the feds made the CHA fire because he was so corrupt. But the city wouldn't get rid of him because he was so tapped into the city, he had so much dirt on so many people.
Couldn't let him go.
They couldn't let him go. And the feds was like, we're not even going to give y'all any more money for public housing until this guy leaves. And that's finally when he leaves. But yeah, it was a ton of that, just like you saying, even in the infrastructure build out, everything was built so cheaply that it made it prone for disaster to happen. We didn't really get into it in our particular conversation, but just the elevators being on the outside of the buildings. When you think about Cabrini Green and Robert Taylor houses, right? Like you put in your mind's eye, the elevators on the back outside of the building, right? Like the building you ever been in, and the elevators on the outside, right? And so no matter what the temperature is, when you get on the elevator in the projects, it's cold, or you feeling what you feel outside. Then how does that affect the maintenance of those things, right? It's Chicago, we got extreme weathers, and so just the infrastructure of the projects, particularly in black spaces, made it prone for crime. Then the lack of maintenance, right, made it to where support services didn't feel safe or just didn't want to go over there. In this particular case, Ruth wasn't the only person who had reported that a robbery had happened through the bathrooms. He and I was talking, and again, not to give away the show, but part if you watch CandyMan, they leave the candy for the Candyman, right? So that he ain't coming to bother you. Well, in Abbott Homes, honest to goodness, people when it was time to go to bed, they would take all their jewelry off, put it in the bathroom, put your jewelry, your money, your purse, your whatever. In case somebody came through, wasn't no need to keep coming through your house. Everything that you here for is right here in this bathroom. You don't come in here hurting me, right? You know what I'm saying? Which is insane to think about, right?
Yeah,
you imagine that your
grandma
like that. Getting ready to go to sleep, so she got to take her purse to the bathroom because she don't want them to come through the house and hurt her.
And hurt her or hurt you.
Right.
That's some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
No, that's some fucked up.
No, it really
thinking.
is. That's how, like, you have to save your life by putting all your valuables in the bathroom. You could just come through the window and just grab it and just leave.
And the fact that you say the housing authority, they had to look at people living in these type of conditions, right?
It was tons of complaints. Tons.
Yeah. They had mad complaints, and we reached out to them, and they gave us like a stock response. I can't even remember what the statement is. It was like a stock PR statement of, whatever. But I mean, multiple residents have talked about complaint. Everybody knew, like it was known. You know what I mean? Like it was known that this was an issue, and they didn't try to change it. And to your original question, it was funny because we were talking with the producers about like how much of this, like, I had written some scripts, and I remember one of the notes was like, yo, this looks like a sociology paper. But I was like, yo, we can't tell this story without telling these other things. So like, just common sense, as you listening to it, I had to explain to the crew. I was like, Chicago's so segregated, you can tell what race is in the area by zip code. I think about Mika Johnson and the folded map project, where you can literally fold the city in half, and all of the demographics is opposite, whether it's race, whether it's socioeconomic status, is so you can't tell these stories without making race a part of it. It's not even trying to push a certain line or whatever. So it's interwoven throughout every single episode, but particularly in episodes 3 and 5, like we really dig into it. And I bring myself to the story too. Like coming from, I wanted to make sure that when people listen, they would feel like, and hopefully I got close to it. You can't get everything right, but I wanted folks to feel like there was no stone left unturned.
That shit's nuts, bro. To think that our people living through like them type of mental conditions where it's like, yo, like, so first of all, Like, where's Abbott Homes located?
So most of it's gone right now. There might be one building left that they're getting ready to turn into the National Museum of Public Housing. But right there off of Roosevelt, when you get on the other side of Halsted, really a little bit past Racine. So the Abbott homes were over there by like Racine, Troop, Ada. You gotta like think back when you was a shorty. When you used to ride down Roosevelt on both sides of the street, those were the Abbott homes. So we called them the Abla homes. It's, some of them was named for Jane Addams. Some of them was named for Robert Abbott. Some of them were called the Loomis Apartments. The Loomis Apartments is now an old folks home. And Brooks was the B for Abla. The Brooks homes are still standing, right? If you drive down like Racine, Morgan, or those streets over there, but by and large off of Roosevelt.
I think I know what buildings you're talking about. I didn't just growing up, like I never was on that part of the city.
Yeah.
Like how Dometi spoke about like how Chicago is so segregated.
Yeah.
Like coming up in the hood, like we never really ventured off in so many different hoods like that.
You didn't go anywhere you didn't have a reason to be at. So I hadn't heard of Abbott myself until I started working on this project. I hadn't heard of Abbott homes at all. Yeah.
You mentioned something before you asked that question, just like the psychology of living in those spaces. We were just talking about having to leave your valuables. And as a person that got daughters, the first thing that popped in my mind is like domestic violence situations, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, you talk to people and hang with people that we live in these spaces with, right? And so you end up talking to a dude that live in these buildings and it go the other way. All he got to do is push through your medicine cabinet. Like that's insane, right? And just think about if you're in a dead sleep, you might not hear that, right? Or you live in the projects, you always hearing sounds. It's always something going on. So you're subject to ignore a lot of things.
Insomnia because you can't sleep. You're not comfortable.
And it's like you really got to be like you and your neighbor got to be that locked in to know that y'all can sleep good at night.
That part.
If you got a shaky neighbor, you damn near.
And can't help it because it's not like you can report it.
And then it's public housing, so you don't get to pick who your neighbor is either. So maybe it was a good neighbor, and then that person leaves, another one come in, and now you back in there.
Phone number right there.
Man,
And think about
one with you.
Talking about phone number,
You
please.
do. You be having phone number. Then you know back in the day, like you got to think about it in the 80s and the 90s. This was when the crack era was at an all-time high. So it's a lot of people in them buildings that was fiending, so they busting in your crib because they try to gotta get the money for their next high.
Yeah.
So it's all type of scary shit going on. You know, projects
Kim Fox was talking about that
lands.
too. She was talking about. Oh, my bad. Sorry to cut you off. I was saying that Kim Fox was talking about that too, about the amount of sexual assault that was happening in these buildings. And you know, the elevators would be down a lot of times, but they were told, you know, be careful about taking the stairs if you had to go up. You know what I mean? If you were a young girl, there were even like the incinerators were messed up that were used to burn the trash. So now the building is smelling like trash. Like, what is all of this doing to your mental health, doing to your psyche? And you know, it's actually logged that Ruthie Mae McCoy was going through she was undiagnosed, but went through mental health crises that a lot of people would now call potentially bipolar or schizophrenia symptoms. And I wonder how much of that is exacerbated by living in this area. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fucked up. It's fucked up.
Did you get any pushback, like digging into some of like the social injustices and the mental illnesses? Like, did you get any pushback from like the producers to be like, maybe we shouldn't go that deep into it?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to talk about that, but yeah.
Man, no, I didn't. I think I was so blessed to like learn from and work with this team. Like anywhere I'd asked to go or look at or to work through, they were on board for everything, you know, for the most part. If there was anything that didn't fit into the story or that we couldn't include, it was more about the flow and the rhythm of the storytelling than it was about we don't want to touch that area. Because these are hard-nosed journalists. Like Judy Tygard has been running 48 Hours since it came out in the late 80s. She's the executive producer of 48 Hours, and it's been running since forever. I got to meet Erin Moriarty, who is like veteran journalist. Like, they actually want to poke the bear. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the role of journalism, is to be a check and balance on all of these institutions that are supposed to protect us. So, you know, the only pushback might have come from people, from interview requests from these entities, or trying to get like public records to some of these documents, and a lot of documents not being available since it's been 30 years. That was like the hardest thing, like trying to, you know, submit FOIAs to get access to certain paperwork, and them being able to say, oh, we can't find that because this happened in 1987. So, but other than that, like, nah, they ready to get to it.
Even that's a lesson though that we should be like learning from right now. I'm working very hard to come up with repositories for those reasons, right? Like we so used to you're gonna leave a space, you're going to a new space. So how many times have CHA changed their headquarters? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And who's making sure that they don't throw nothing away, right? Who's because what happens when in 15 years the people done figured out a way to get reparations for certain things. And now, how do you prove that your family suffered from, bad conditions or this or that, right? Now they magically don't even have the application that your grandma ever lived in Stateway Gardens or Ida B. Wells. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why that type of work that you're doing, bro, is so important because it illuminates not just that story, but how do we like prevent that story from happening again? And if and when it happens again, how do we protect our ability to tell that story, right? And just you saying that folks screaming it's been 30 years, I got aunties that got prom dresses from 70 years
Right.
ago, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, you're right.
we need to all be kind of making sure we figure out a way to hold these entities accountable to protecting the public record. You shouldn't be able to throw away none of this stuff. Now we got the cloud. Now we got this, and now we got that. Like
It's
all that
too
should be
many ways.
scanned and put away. You should be able to email me these files. You should be able to see her housing application and see if she listed anything. Right?
Thanks. Nah, you're right. You're right. It's another thing too. Like as we were talking about, like creators. Not to go too far off topic, but I think when we go in these rooms, we got to be unapologetic about what we want. Because a lot of times I have heard no or push past no more than I thought I would be able to, and I realized that people before me probably just weren't asking enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even want to say people before me because I don't want to denigrate anybody. But what I mean is, like, the advice that I get from people. You know what I'm saying? Be like, oh, they might not allow you to do that. They might not let you. They might, like, when you have a set plan and you're like, we need this to tell this story this way. 9 times out of 10, it makes it hard for them to say no when it's all like when you already have a Dilla, already have a Kim Fox on board to do it, already have these elements that say that like, yo, let's go. So I just want to encourage all creators, if you're not able yet to do your own thing or own your own company, even in the space that you are in, be unapologetic about asking how to tell the story the way you want to tell it and putting all the resources that are necessary to do it the way you want to do it, making it easy to get access to it. Because like even Dilla just saying that, like, I'm so glad you were part of this project, bro, because I'm like, dang, we do need these repositories. We do need to make sure that even now we're just logging these things. That's why it was so important when we even see the Smithsonian Museum of African American History. They got slave records in there. They got people who are finding their history and their family lineage through the preservation of these documents. And, that's our role, you know what I'm saying, as journalists and cultural archivists,
That's the type of time I'm on with the city, man. We gonna look up and all that open space in front of Mariano's is gonna get built on, and then in 40 years, right, they're gonna pretend like it was never Ida B. Wells over there, or
Right.
not just that the people from Ida B. Wells got displaced. There's a place in downstate Illinois called Cahokia. And then the Cahokia Mounds are the largest Native American indigenous site north of Mexico City. Anyway, all that long-winded shit to say that the French tell the story that the Native Americans burned their own towns down in order to give it to the French, right? And so that when you go down there and read all the plaques that say that the Native Americans set fire to their own homes and left, and we don't know why. And that don't even make no kind of sense to nobody, right? But say all that to say, that's going to be the story of Black Chicago. We don't know why they left the Cabrini Greens. We don't know why they left Stateway Gardens. We don't know why, right? If we not on our job with keeping the records and continuing to retell the story.
They're trying to take slavery out the
they trying to erase
history books in elementary schools now.
Shit, ain't.
Yeah.
Black people, the way they trying to diminish like Black history and just Black culture is a whole nother episode in itself.
It's so funny too because a lot of people be like, I'm tired of seeing certain types of stories. I'm tired of seeing slave stories. I'm tired of seeing, and it's like there's a whole generation of people that have no idea, and so Fortunately and unfortunately, we got to keep telling these stories. We can find new and innovative ways to tell them, and we can tell different stories from those eras, and we can tell African civilization stories, not just slavery stories. We tell pre-slavery stories, but we got to tell it all. We got to tell it
Gotta
all,
tell
though,
it
because
all.
they are intentional about making sure we don't.
And you ain't never ever heard anybody of the Jewish faith or background say, I don't want to hear another Holocaust story.
Never.
You've never heard them say that. They want to make sure that you know that story front to back, right? And they're going to keep telling it. How many different ways have they made Moses, right? How many different kind of stories have they told about the Jews leaving and Moses and crossing the Red Sea? It get redone every 10, 15 years. I'm glad you said that. Don't nothing piss me off more than people say, I don't want to see another slave movie. Like, that's all you taking from that story. You got to figure out a better way of yourself to looking at it, because what I see is stories of progression, right? No group of human beings on Earth survived what we survived, period. The history of the world. And again, like Cody said, they getting rid of it, and next thing you don't know, we all came here on vacations and decided to stay and work for free because we love the country, right? That's going to be the narrative if we don't start making sure that we telling them stories.
Work for free is crazy.
That is a valid statement, my brother. Very valid statement.
Man,
Free is crazy.
straight. Everybody else I just went to Dublin. They talk about the Irish famine all the time. Everywhere you go, when you're in Ireland, there is something to talk about the famine. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
you got to keep your own
You got to
history
keep your
alive.
history alive.
Depending on somebody else to do it for you is crazy work.
So, what other ways do you feel like, specifically us in Chicago, like what, besides us being digital creators, like what other things or what other initiatives we should get behind to make sure these stories continue to live?
Well, one, a bigger and better involvement with our schools. I'm so glad now we got an elected school board, because now there are people we can hold accountable for the type of curriculum that we want to see in our schools. But before that, the local school council meetings was so under attended that they wouldn't even be able to have them, right? Only 2 or 3 people to come. And that ain't enough to have an official meeting, right? So one, that's a major thing. If you got a kid in school, if you just went to one meeting a school year, right, they would always stay packed. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way to make sure that our history is preserved. Another thing that we need to do is get those schools to also become digital creators, right? Well, every class should have an Instagram page, right? The teacher should have, Miss Johnson's 3rd grade class should have an Instagram page where I'm able to go online and see the progress, right? You ain't got to show no kids' faces or nothing. The kids that parents do sign the waivers, I know I'm the type of parent that'll let my kid come on there once a week, say this is what we learned in Miss Johnson's class, blah, 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 blah. But it's free. It don't cost you nothing to start an Instagram page or a TikTok page or whatever page, right? Blue Sky, whatever, right? All those pages. The digital space is the future, right? Somebody just won an election, not because they sent nobody to knock on no doors. He won the digital space, and that's why he won the election. Digital space is the new frontier. And every classroom, every school should have a social page where they are letting us know what's being taught in those schools. And then when you see what ain't on that page, that lets you know what needs to be on that page.
I love that.
I love that segue. I love that you actually just mentioned that, because that's one of the topics we got on our running show. Just the new social media waves and just these new apps. Like a lot of people asking X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, to go to Blue Sky. And we were speaking on, like, us, we use Fanbase. Like, that's a black-owned app. Isaac Hayes III. Like, we use Fanbase for our exclusive content. I personally recommend every curator to get on these type of get on this app, and especially apps that allow you to get equity in it as you use it. Because the way I look at it personally, if apps like that, like, think about Facebook before Blue Up. Think about what type of position you could have put your family if you would have bought stock in Facebook before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you already on here giving these people your data and giving them the culture for free. So getting spaces where you can own them. Same thing with things like Spill. Same things with like tech apps like Event Noir. Like, that's always been the thing for me. It's equity. As I've been studying content creation, like owning my data and then just investment in equity. Like you'll never grow if you just working every day.
Yeah,
Like you
that
gotta
part.
have your money and you have your shit grow for you. But the conversation was just social media platforms and like you said, how it helped Trump win the election. You two both are digital creators, right?
Yes, sir.
Where do you see this space going with these new apps?
I'll let you go first, bro.
Man, that's such a big question. I think going back, I want to go back to what you said a little earlier. I wish we were able to teach more media literacy because these young people are growing up in an era where they see all of this content. Yet, I don't know if they're able to tell the difference between a spoof page, a satire piece of news. You know, we're in an era where if you see a meme with a headline, then you believe it's real facts. Or we might even see an accurate headline, but don't actually read the article, right? So, one, I love programs like True Star. I used to be on the board of a nonprofit called YR Media, um, where we teach kids how to create content, but how to sift through it. So I think that's like the next era of this. Like that should be a mandatory, if not a mandatory course or some part of the curriculum. Let's create programs and make sure we're using after school matters and resources like that for us in the media to be able to teach, this is where the about page is. That's how you fact check. This is how you can tell whether this was AI. Look how many fingers are on this picture. This is,
Man, AI be
this is
killing people, bro.
AI is
it's man
the
got us in
devil.
the twist.
Okay.
you know but yeah, I think that's the main thing about it. And I also think that we should feel comfortable challenging black social media outlets to make the changes they need to make sure that they're attractive to the masses. I'm trying to find a diplomatic way of saying sometimes I hear black outlets upset that we aren't tapping in with them, but then when you got developers who would tweet them and say, yo, I would love if y'all fix y'all user interface. And I saw Spill actually respond to a couple users like email us, and I love seeing that interaction because a lot of our platforms don't have the resources that a Blue Sky and that all of these other platforms have where logging on is seamless. And without following people, you already got an algorithm. I was on another app that I love that is made great for creators, but I don't follow anybody on it, and so I'm only seeing one person's post, and I didn't really know how to use it. And I think like a lot of these apps, I think as Black creators, we need to support these apps, but we also need to support them with our brand equity, right? Like, how can we tell them how to improve it, how to better serve us, so that we not mass migrating to Blue Sky. We're going to something black owned, like Spill, like Fanbase, and all these other joints. I don't even know if that answered your question, but that was what was on my mind.
It's a good conversation to have, right? Because I think when you talk about media literacy and you just think about just I want to say schooling, but like teaching young curators coming after us, I would say one of the first things in business that if you want to attract a sponsor, if you want to attract a brand, and you want to do anything, start flirting with a product. Start using a product. Show them that you own a product. That's because if I'm an entrepreneur and I feel like if anybody come to me and be like, yeah, I follow What's the Word, y'all watch this. Like, all right, cool. So now you watching. You telling me you watch my product. You watch. This is my baby. This is what I put blood, sweat, and equity into. Now, if you giving me feedback in it, I'm listening now.
Yeah,
I know that you own
because
my
you tapped in.
you own my platform, so you got me right. So I would say the first thing, if you want, because it's one thing in our culture, we always be like, you should do this, you should do that, and don't until you know this more than anybody. You'll probably somebody to tell you like, man, you should do this. Why you ain't doing this? And you be like, gee, you don't even know what it take to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like we all
Or that you done did it, tried it, didn't really work.
And it
right?
didn't really
You
work.
Never
Yeah,
really
you ain't
scrolled
did.
the page.
Yeah, so why if you tell them like, I get you, you the
Me and
homie,
Cody
but
had this conversation. yeah.
you like yeah, like why is you telling me this? Like, and it's respectfully though, but it's like you don't understand, or you're not even really that invested into what I got going on. You just want to commentate.
Yeah.
Now, but if you say like, yo, I'm a subscriber of your platform, or I follow you, or I just watch this show, oh, I like this. Oh, so you in tune, you in my community, you in tune with what I got going on. So let me listen to what you got to say, because I can feedback.
Yes. Now
So
your
when it
feedback matters. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes down to like these social media platforms or these brands and stuff like that, like Ross Matt talk about this like that, like invest in products that you use, right?
Yep.
So if you invest in these, it's like this. If you owners in these platforms by getting these stocks and like that, you owning these platforms, oftentimes you're just gonna have it's an easier chance that you can start talking to people that use the platform, right? So, for example, like we work with Fanbase, right? Fanbase reached out to us and like, hey, I seen y'all using our platform. We want to do some type of collab so you can see like what y'all do and stuff like that. But now I have a direct contact with what they got going on. So now when I talk to them, like Dometi said, I could be like, yo, you want to see y'all platform do this, this, and this.
Yes, and you
I have a direct email. I have a direct contact with somebody I can do.
Not only that, but you're invested in the success, and you know it's a sincere investment in the success of the platform. Like, we all should be following what Isaac Hayes III is doing. You know what I'm saying? And now, because Cody and What's the Word has been tapped in, he knows that everything that he's speaking to him about is coming from a place of, listen, I'm tapped. Even I'll use us as an example. I remember Cody gave me some advice that was great advice for me to do with my platform, and I'm like, man, I would love for y'all help. And then you always open the platform to me because we all are a part of this ecosystem. And that's why I hate this narrative that black people don't support black folk. Like, we saw it even with Kamala Harris, which I don't want to go into politics, but within the day, how many thousands of women were on that call to support her? It's the same way with these platforms. Like, yes, we can do more. We can always do more. But I love how you frame that. If you're following, you tapped in, and you're invested in my success and my growth, you're now a stakeholder. It's the same as a shareholder. You know, you're a board of director. The board of directors have a say-so in how that goes with the organization because you help promote the bottom line. You know what I'm saying?
It was a brother. He wanted the news too. I think it's Rashawn Williams. I think everybody should follow him on social media. He's from Chicago, from like 89th and Sagamon. But he's like, he does all the investments for all like the people in the industry, right? Like artists, celebrities, and shit like that. And he also does for brands. And on his page just breaks down like every time a company go public or why you should invest in this brand and stuff like that. But one thing that I learned is, y'all know me, like everybody know me, I don't really talk unless I'm on here, I'm a listener. You know what I'm saying? So I'm listening to him giving game, but one thing he was saying was like when you become a stakeholder, when you start coming shareholder in these companies, and first of all, you invest in people. You don't invest in like the brand. People in Silicon Valley, they invest in people. So like Shermann, like Dometi, if they ever say like, yo, I'm giving equity in my business or my platform, what I got going on, I seen what these dudes did on their own. You know what I'm saying? So I would invest my money. Like, I don't know how much some shares is, but here go a couple dollars. You know what I'm saying? I see what they doing. You know what I'm saying? They built it on their own. So he was saying like when you do stuff like that, invest in people. Also, when you invest in some of these companies that you use, like it's more likely that you will have a conversation with a CEO if you invest in it, right? Bree talk about giving you some money all the time. It's more likely that a guy can get your attention if he give you some money, right?
I don't talk about men giving me money.
You get what I'm saying though? Like if he talking to you,
I just talk about increasing my revenue by any means necessary.
But we had that conversation talking about dating and shit. We were saying like it's more easier for a motherfucker to get your attention if they gonna take you out on a date. They gonna spend some money on you, right?
This is true.
Opposed to him just trying to talk to you and tell you what in your DM.
Okay, because I need action.
Same thing when it comes with business. It's more easier to get a conversation with an event noir with Jeff if you invested in the platform.
Man, I can't tell you how many doors that have been open to me. You know, I wanted non-for-profit, or I want the Bulls, or I want the Blackhawks to come on my tours. Then I see the non-for-profit wing of the Blackhawks doing an event gala where the proceeds gonna go to something, and the ticket's $150, right? Paying that $150 means that you are vested, right, in that information, and you know that's when you get to the top. That's when you get to the people that can make those. And just in that example, I don't got no problem even saying it, right? Like just that couple times of paying that $150 to go to these particular galas, I turned into multiple $1,000s of business out of that place from just that initial investment, bro.
Yeah.
Opposed to you saying, man, the Blackhawks, man, y'all need to be doing this.
Y'all need to be
That's usually how it is. Y'all don't even mess with me. I've been doing the basketball league for 10 years, and y'all ain't even thought to give me no jerseys or nothing. Like it's like, bro.
Spend some money, go on in there, show that you support. Another tool that I use, I mean, obviously as a historian, but imagine I come in here and start telling y'all stuff about y'all family y'all didn't know, right? Like, and that's just anything. You should do your research on anything. You're approaching a company, right? what was the old name of the company? Is this the first iteration of that company? What did bro start before he got to this, right? Like knowing all that information and then starting the conversation from that point and really impress how you turn, this into this. I remember you started as this, da 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 da. Da. Like, man, that take you so far. You're 100% spot on that, bro. I gave brother Isaac. You see this? You got my 652 by the way. When he made the call, everybody dropped 650. I some kind of way found 650, and I'm definitely invested in fan.
Wait, let me be clear. The platform I was talking about earlier was not fan base, by the way. It was another platform. I just want to make that clear. I was not talking about fan base. I'm like, hold on, I don't want it to seem like I was talking about fan base.
But you right though, on the other side of that too, right? A lot of times we ask for folks to get down with us or support us. We be like, yeah, we would, but you should probably do this. People take offense. You know what I'm saying? They gotta be open.
A lot of times, because while we on the subject of fan base, I was at my other job, and we had a guest host, and she just randomly was like, "Hey, y'all heard of fan base? I just got on. I got 4 followers, but I just heard about it, and I heard it was black owned." And other people in the room was like, "No, I haven't heard about it," but it wasn't like there wasn't like an interest there. And I just joined Blue Sky, so I got like 20 followers, I think, on Blue Sky. But how do we bridge the gap between bridge the gap between hopping on something early, especially with the digital creation? How do we bridge the gap between hopping on something early opposed to waiting until it's lit? So I feel like when you hop on it earlier, it's easier for you to control your own algorithm and get the app used to like the content that you put out, and then they're more likely to really be able to hone in on who you are and what you're putting out there. But a lot of times, especially because we have so many apps that's out right now, like I done heard about 5 new apps in the last 2 months.
That's how people become influencers on these apps very quickly too. We saw way back. I mean, I remember Lil B was an early adopter of a lot of social media platforms, and so he made his following so quickly just because he was the first one there, and he was following everybody first. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a good point. Like being one of the first ones on, and then connecting with the ones that you genuinely, authentically feel aligned with, right? Like the whatever medium it is of getting information out there is aligned with what you do. If you're mainly a video person and you hear about TikTok or you hear about something, jump on that. If you love to write and you're a writer, I've seen a lot of journalists jump over to Blue Sky because of the change in the guidelines on Twitter. And so Blue Sky feels like very much a natural transition for folks in the journalist space, where Spill uses a lot of GIFs and GIFs and memes and all of that. And so comedians love that platform, right? So, some of these platforms really work depending on what your storytelling medium is, But yeah, that's
I would say this. Yeah.
I was trying to tell him to get my wife from outside.
His wife
She
outside.
said it's cold.
Okay.
We got you.
I would say this is just to follow what Dometi said. Like, I would say as content curators, we gotta kind of like adapt the talented 10th method, right? We gotta know who we are. We gotta identify those people. We
having a party, Dometi?
Yeah, that's lit.
my bad.
Yeah.
I pressed the wrong button on the Zoom.
I told you got a whole board over there.
Okay.
Yeah, everything going on.
I was trying to turn my volume. Go ahead, my bad.
But once we adapt that method, like we identify who's who, then we can curate our way, right? Because we curate culture, right? So it's like I look at it like how Jay, I'm a studier again. I'm gonna tell you all the time: study, content creators, study the best, you gotta look at the greats. You know what I'm saying? But Jay-Z, when they came out with Tidal, right? One of the first things he did, he got some of the top in the game in the music industry. They all sitting on the stage, and it's like, yo, you get paid more over here. We come over here. We use our, you know what I'm saying? Like we invested in it, we own it. Let's use our community. Let's use what we build in our brand to bring our audience over here. So that's like one of the first things we need to do. Like when we start getting on what app, we need to figure out like, yo, what apps we can get to as content curators and like as followers that have these different communities. Let's bring all our community over there, right? Yep. That's the first thing. The second thing, study the trends. Like Dometi said, like you can all these apps come out. You download the apps and see what's on them and see how they align with what you got going on. But also we in business, right? We in entertainment, we into culture, so we can't be last on the trends. So if you see the youth which you kind of like dictate everything. If you see the youth going crazy on Blue Sky, if your little homie saying, "Yeah, we on Blue Sky right now," get your ass on Blue Sky.
Blue sky.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't got to. If they say we on Spill, like, get on Spill and see what they doing on Spill. If you see the homie say, "Yeah, we on Spill," okay, that's what a little 16, 17-year-old kids is at. Yeah, Spill. I'm putting my brand on Spill because Spill has traction. So it's like it's two ways you got to do that, but you just got to study it. So it's like sometimes you might just be that cold where you can be ahead of the shit and just you get on some shit and everybody follow you because you there. Well, other times you just gotta be like, yo, we gonna make this the wave. You know what I mean?
Or get on it during the beta mode because that's what got Clubhouse busting over COVID.
The beta mode, the early adopter. I'm curious, y'all. Do y'all think people are getting? I read an article about this, and I still was tossing it over in my mind. Do you think people are getting app fatigue? Are they getting tired of all of these apps?
Oh yes,
right. Like,
it's overwhelming.
So based on y'all expertise, what do y'all think will stand like after this surge, all these new apps? Which ones do you think will still be here a year or two from now?
I think Blue Sky. Well, we just talking about like the newer ones. I feel like I believe in fan base. I definitely believe in fan base, especially with our community. I think Blue Sky will hold weight only because it's not so much Elon. And a lot of people are like, Elon right now. So I think Blue Sky will hold
it's
weight.
gonna get worse for him too. So the more power he get, the more we're gonna be sick of him. So.
Yeah, and it's like all the regulations that you get on Twitter right now, the things that we've been asking for that we actually have to pay, that we have to pay a subscription for now on the platform that we had since the early 2000s. It's like, why? When I could just go somewhere else and get everything I'm asking for. So it's just like the accessibility of Blue Sky. I feel like it's gonna keep it going, and it's so familiar to YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, to Twitter. It looks damn near the same.
Yeah.
So it's not like foreign territory. It's just like, hey, I just found the same. I still live in the West Loop. I just live down the street.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like personally, Threads is a better. It seems like Threads are taking off a little faster than like the Blue Sky thing. I see a lot more people like on Threads and like the wave of Threads going crazy to me. It's like, all right, so I don't have to create. If I'm already got this Instagram fan base,
it's fair.
My username the same, my people the same. I can grow it quick on here and still have that same Twitter feel. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of people on Threads, and personally for our content, the engagement on Thread be through the roof.
And I
appreciate y'all. I'm getting bullied by my wife. We got
doctor's
appointments, and kids and babies and everything else.
But thank you for coming.
Nah, man, I've been itching to get on here, man. I'm still gonna be cussing fools out in y'all comment section. My therapy.
We gotta have you come back, man. We wanted to talk about some of these topics we have.
We had like 8 topics that we never got to, but it's cool.
We gotta get you back though. But the situation with comment was actually one of the topics. So I'm glad you was be able to address it.
No, and to everybody, man, own your own story. Right, don't let nobody take your ability for you to not tell your own story. That's crazy. The glaring example for me is Famous Amos. We all grew up eating Famous Amos cookies. Every park you've never been to in the vending machine, they had the Famous Amos cookies. And that man died and didn't own his name. Right, did not own his name. So I bet you that like you said, that bag looked great when he was 22, and that money gone. And he still is Famous Amos, and if he want to go give a speech about what it takes to start a business and all of that, he couldn't put Famous Amos on the flyer. Right? Somebody else had owned his name and his story. So like, yeah, don't do that. But no, I'm actually always over here. So now that I know what y'all at, I'm just be popping up and coming in. Can I get on the show?
Bring us some of that bread,
I don't know if you have done this already. But when you start talking about owning your name and you want to talk about business, you ever the McDonald's story?
Yeah, heck yeah.
That is the founders, everybody getting into business, creating something. Please watch that movie.
Yeah. Man, I'm so glad y'all had Dilla on at the same time. I'm sitting here like, good. Now he can give some historical context. I forgot. You ever do like when you get done with a project, you forget all of the details.
You like, I don't want to get too much, but I also don't want to get the wrong information.
Right. That man's a walking encyclopedia, and I'm so confident that God had this happen so that he could turn up even more. I believe that wholeheartedly. I don't know, sometimes I believe more for others than I believe for myself sometimes. Like, I don't know if this time next year, Wait till we see what this man accomplishes. I think it's
No,
a
for
blessing in
sure.
disguise what happened with the CandyMan situation. So I'm just glad y'all booked us on the same day. So man, salute to
I know
Dilla. I
it's
don't know
just
if he's
how it
still in the
go.
room, but salute to
That
Dilla.
was God. That shit was
Yeah,
God.
man,
It definitely
that's
aligned
perfect.
perfectly.
You know,
I love the fact I love your energy, Dometi. It was a video, and it'd be
uh
a lot of shit. And I just want to just say that it'd be a lot of shit I see on the internet, and I personally be wanting to make sure we get on the platform. But y'all know I just don't be having the time to put that shit together. But it was this video. I want to give you some flowers. I wanted to reshare it on What's the Word. But you was talking about like how I think you was on I want to say it was the corner convo. You was on some I think it was them, and you was saying like how like even if a person not around or something, like you always gonna mention their name in a positive light, even if they don't do yours or some shit. It was
oh
dope,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was like that. I was like, man, it's shit like that that keeps this shit going. Like how he just
Thank
bigging
you.
up Dilla. Like I just know you always bigging up people in different spaces. Like you gave us a few shout outs and shit,
Oh,
like
yeah,
on
thank
other
you, man.
platforms. So I like that about you. Just keep that
Man,
shit
thank
going,
We
you,
man.
Z.
appreciate it.
No,
Hey,
thank you for seeing that and appreciating that.
yeah,
It's genuine because I'll be a fan. Like I hate when people act like, especially in these entertainment spaces, it's like, bro, I know your work. I'm not finna walk past you and act like I don't know your work and I enjoy it. Like I enjoy that shit, man. It's dope. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what creates the ecosystem. So nah, I thank you for seeing that and even bringing it up. Shout out to the Corner Convo podcast. You
Okay,
know.
them my homies
them
too.
the
We
homies
love
too,
them.
man. Y'all fuck with them.
Yeah, shout out to them. So nah, I appreciate you saying that, man. It's funny though. I was gonna say real quick. I do want to get. I don't know if I could stay on to talk to some of those topics that y'all had that y'all wanted to
Come
get
on,
to.
man. You family. Come on.
Okay, man. I was gonna say though. I did want to say talking about alignment. I'd be remiss if I didn't say rest in peace to Tony Todd, who the actor who portrayed Candyman. It was so eerie. He passed away the day after the finale of Candyman aired. And we were
Hmm.
eating, the team was emailing back and forth, like, yo, Tony Todd passed. And I actually didn't even post. I typed the whole tribute thing. It was so eerie because I tried to post on Instagram. And you guys ever get that post failed notification on
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Instagram? And I tried to post like 3 times and it never posted. And I just said, okay, put the phone down. I actually deleted the app, re-downloaded it. And when I came back, there was so many people DMing me saying that that they were glad that we were talking about the story, that the podcast was sort of like a eulogy for this man's work. Like even as we critiqued it, we always held him in the highest esteem as one of our generation's only black, villains or horror. Like you know what I mean? Like
Damn.
Candy, that is legendary. So it really it allowed me space to just affirm that God is like, yo, no matter if something is culturally relevant right now or is the most popular thing right now, your work matters, and no matter what, even if it's just that one person who you're talking about, I don't know if he saw the show or not, but hopefully he received those flowers. But I just wanted to say rest in peace, Tony Todd, and send love to his
R.I.P. Tony
family
Todd.
and, people who are fans of his and stuff like that, because it was just an honor telling that story. So as you said that, it made me think about, just the value of our work and what it means when we speak in other rooms, because we allow people's name to live in places where we're not physically, whether they're alive or gone. So, yeah, man,
That was lit, man. R.I.P. Tony Todd, man. R.I.P. Tony.
no doubt, no doubt. What else y'all had on that though?
I do remember seeing that on Instagram. Was that like 2 weeks ago?
It was a few weeks
Yeah,
ago. I saved it to my. Ain't nobody in
Yeah.
here in the content team, but I saved it. I wanted to get it up, but it just like should be moving so quick.
nah, it's,
But
it's,
I did.
it's
But that
like,
was a dope sound bite. Like you was like that was. I'm like this is. Dometi one of them that's favored by God. Like you
It's just
see it,
on
it's
you.
on him. You see it like. Like I mean, when I first saw it, I'm
God
like,
be the
what this
glory.
dude? He just up there shining, doing spoken word and shit.
Dometi does everything. Like
I think we was at the it ain't the hip hop museum, but it's the other spot, African American South Side. It's some museum
The Pullman
on
Porter
low end,
Museum,
huh?
Pullman Porter Museum in the Hundreds.
Nah, it's on the
Oh,
low end.
Southside Community Arts Center
Yes, yes, outside. Yeah, you was doing it up
on
there.
the low end. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Nicolette brought me up there, and that's when I uncle and I saw you and y'all doing y'all thing.
Yeah, yeah, man. Listen, if it wasn't for those, I wouldn't be doing this. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But you be support, you be popping up. That's what I'm talking about, G. Like, I love that. Like, I ain't invite him personally. He just popped up, G. Yeah, I appreciate
I like
that.
that you said that because people be on Cody telling me he don't come outside enough.
Man, Cody come out. He come where he want to be.
Yeah, he just gotta be right. He gotta be right.
It's got
I
to
ain't
be
gonna
right.
lie. Dometi had it on point. when I went to New York, just popped up. He had the moves in one night. We just popping.
Yeah, I was just so excited to be with somebody I knew personally. Sometimes I'll be in these spaces and I experience some out of body dope,
Yeah.
like, and I can't record it, or it just wouldn't be right. Or I'm with people who I don't know or feel like a real affinity to it, and I'm like, damn. So when Cody came to town, I'm like, come on, I wasn't even gonna go out that night. We ended up at the basement restaurant at the Barclays Center.
Yeah, that shit
Uh,
was lit.
Bumped into JB Smooth, bumped into Mad SNL cast members. We was in the suite, with Fan Meyer. Shout out to the Fan Meyer guys.
Shout out to them.
It was a good day of networking,
So
and that
y'all
was the
had a
day that
time.
yeah,
We
that's
was
the day that Cody
outside.
gave me good advice, man. Not that I actually implemented. I hope I tried to.
Nah, you be doing your thing, G. Like
Man, thank you, man.
we gotta do LA over. I feel like I wasn't in a good space to do the Grammys how we should have did the Grammys.
Understandably so. It was a lot
Yeah.
of real life things happening. Condolences, but yeah, we're gonna run it back. We're gonna run
We
LA
gotta run
back.
LA back.
I'm coming to the Grammys this year.
Slide.
Come on.
Yeah.
Cody left me last time.
Come on. No, we gone. My question to y'all, right? Like, how do you? I don't know if this is too like of an inside conversation, but how do you even maximize those spaces, right? Because I'm starting to get away from the idea that we have to be everywhere. Like there's certain places that, like the Grammy weekend, there are tons of millions of parties. And only a few of them can probably really push your career forward. And some of them, just like you said, you got to pay what you weigh to get the opportunity. Like I remember somebody was asking me on a different show how I came to be the host of a couple other events. A lot of things I end up hosting, I bought a ticket or a table for 1 year with the goal of making the money back when they booked me to host it the following year. So like that's one of my life hacks. And sometimes that's parties. Like I'll pay in to get in a party 1 year, meet who I need to meet. The next year I'm on the publicist list. Like I'm not always personally invited. Sometimes I gotta muscle my way in. But when we go Grammys weekend, we'll talk offline because I wanna strategize on how we can make the most of that experience.
Yeah, I think we kind of got a strategy these days.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got a strategy. Yeah, we
Yeah.
got to because Dometi got I had my shit, he got his shit. Like that shit.
But that's the
that
key
shit-
though.
that
When you
shit
got like
different. It'll be
2, 3 your homies, where okay, you know this group and we know that group, and we just go pile up whatever we get access to. Make sure everybody on the list.
Yeah.
We can
That's
talk
it
about the
right
rest
there.
off air, but
Yeah,
yeah.
That's
We're
it
gonna
right there. That's it right there.
But I'm glad you spoke on that because people from the crib, like I'm not gonna lie to you, like I damn near feel like you probably like as an individual, like you're. It's like we seen like Free Smirk, we seen Smirk do it in a rap lane, right? Coming from where we come from, and Chance do it with the Grammys too. We seen D Rose do it on the hoop side, right? Well, I feel like you're like the first person that we seen in the media space to go that like you at MTV. Like when we all grew up watching that shit, like that's some other shit. Like a lot of us, we off the muscle, Dilla, me, Bree, like we know we doing radio or we starting our own shit. But it's like when you start talking about the highest of the high, you there. Like
Thank you, man.
like so you like I put you in the category as that. Like that's why we got to champion this nigga every time he see he doing some shit, because it's like you like that for us in the media space. Like you one of ours is in that space, right? But I'm glad you mentioned on like yo, you still gotta hustle and bustle to get to certain spots, because a lot of us back at the crib, a lot of the young creators don't understand. Like you still have, no matter what your title is, you still gotta work.
Oh man, you got to work even harder. You got to
But
sustain it.
Dometi, before you answer
Yeah.
the question
For
in
sure.
full, because I feel like we finna get into some things. Let's take a commercial break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Commercial break. We'll be right back, y'all.
They got money. They got sponsors. Commercial break.
In action.
All right. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Shout out to McDonald's for giving out the chicken Big Macs. I'm about to do a review.
Oh, so it's giving like Mac chicken at the bottom and then like a chicken nugget on the top. Big Mac chicken sandwich.
I don't know how to bite this thing. Mac sauce is on point. You can't never go wrong with Mac sauce.
It's the Big Mac sauce for sure. This is actually really decent, I ain't gonna lie.
I'll give the chicken Big Mac I give it an 8 out of 10.
A 9.5 for sure.
I give it a good 9.5. This is actually really good.
This is amazing. I need 2 more. Can I have yours?
In action.
All right.
All right, my name is Nazir Smith. I am the job developer and career coach here at Grow. And today we brought a partnering employer in. And what they did is they gave a presentation, conducted a workshop, and actually started the onboarding process. So they assisted guys with applications, assisted guys with I-9 forms, and actually gave away offer letters today. I would say about 5 individuals received offer letters today with pay, scheduling, and all the details included. So it was a great day today for some of the participants. We got some smiles, and we got a bright future ahead for those who are pursuing their career.
Shout out to our sponsors and advertisers. Shout out to McDonald's. They had my DMs busting after that Krispy Kreme commercial.
Y'all getting too much money, man. Y'all getting too much.
Trying to get to that paper, man. Trying to get to that paper. Any advertisers at home watching, or anybody, small business or brands, that is where your advertiser can go right there. So make sure y'all tap in with us right now to spend those dollars. We got content curators to pay. So, for real.
Okay, and you can be right next to Dometi.
You can talk. Look, him.
Right next to Dometi. Look.
Wherever he at.
So getting back to what we was talking about, you were going to talk about, what was you touching on? Like staying the course in the industry?
Yeah, I was just saying you got to work harder sometimes when you get to the big platform because you think it's, sometimes naively you might think that a switch is going to go off and people going to rock with you, but the stage is bigger. And so now you have to work harder to sustain a larger audience. And you know that almost every piece of work might be the first time that somebody sees you, and you got to make sure it's not the last time. There's somebody who doesn't know me at all from MTV who knows me through 48 hours. So now I'm in a true crime space. What can I do to make sure I keep them and send them back to True Life Crime to watch that work? Or what am I doing on my digital platform personally to tell true crime stories, to keep them engaged? So all of that feeds into each other. And it's just, I was just saying, like, it's a grind and a hustle that never stops. And I just appreciate y'all for acknowledging that. It means a lot to me, more than y'all know, because I think sometimes people can overlook the effort that it takes to get into certain spaces and kind of, when you leave a set of challenges, you confront a set of new challenges. And we don't often as Black folks and people from the crib, we don't really have too many people to share these challenges with or talk to about how to navigate them. So, I feel seen when y'all say stuff like that.
Why do we act like we can't talk about each other's stories and like our struggles and stuff? Because I feel like it's just like money. Black people hate to be like, how much you get paid? And they be like, why you want to know?
Yeah. Because we taught that, you got to keep something, you got to protect yourself because you can't just be so open and just share everything with everybody. But that's the only way we're going to learn and grow. It's like Issa Rae said, we got to connect laterally. We got to talk about it. If we're not talking about what we getting paid, how are you going to know what to negotiate when you go in there? But we also got to be mindful that if you share what you're paid, somebody else can purposefully undercut you and bring down the whole price of the industry. So, it's a balance. It's a balance. So we still have to be careful and protective of ourselves. And you also want to, we don't want to talk about our struggles too much because you want to project an air of success because more success breeds success. Is like dress for the job you want, not the job you have, but also, we gotta share the truth about what it takes to do what we're doing so that we can build this out. People don't understand, right? I said this on the Corner Podcast. We've seen a lot of careers where people have across several industries where people wanted to be the only person, the only one, and they sidelined everybody. And then when they're on the other side, they have nobody to fall back on because they eliminated the entire field, the entire industry. It's like the Jay-Z line, nobody will fall. You was like, if everybody in your clique is rich, your clique is rugged. Nobody will fall because everyone will be each other's crutches. So you want to make sure that everybody has something to stand on because nothing goes like this forever. So when you hear, you want to make sure that this platform and that platform and that platform is lit so I can come work with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Or vice versa, So
Do you feel like you work for yourself? Because I think
yeah,
that's a big
absolutely.
misconception in the industry. Sometimes they feel like I can't give too much of myself to like one company or one. I mean, but we do know there's areas and times of the year where industries are like, yeah, we firing this person and this person and this person just because of budget cuts. That don't mean that you're not talented. But can you just speak on how important it is to just, I think you kind of did, like keep those relationships a little bit, because I feel like some people are just like, oh, well, if I'm not accelerating where I feel like I should be, instead of paying attention to like getting all of the nutrients that you can gain where you at in a certain space, they're just kind of like, oh, well, I don't want to do this no more.
You just set a bar. You answered the question in the question. Like, it's so
Did
true.
I?
Like, it's
I'm proud of
maximizing
you.
the space, getting the nutrients while you're there, while you have a seat at the table. But I call it intrapreneurship, right? Entrepreneurship is different from an entrepreneur. It's when you work for a company, but you navigate the company the same way you would an entrepreneur, right? I have a project and I know I wanted it to be marketed correctly. I'm going to reach out to the VP of marketing on that project and talk to them personally about how I think the marketing should go. Lo and behold, I'll give you a concrete example, and this is why I feel like I'm my own company. Well, technically, Paramount pays my production company, Pongo Strategy Group. So I operate as an entrepreneur in that way. But when I met with the marketing team, which sometimes they don't let talent talk to marketing, they just take your show and they do their own thing. Met with the marketing team and they showed me the billboard that was going up in Times Square. And I said, yo, I know that y'all don't do this for the key art, but I would love for my name to be on the billboard. Like, I need that. Like, it's my name, it's my brand recognition. It's what separates me. It's what make the podcast dope. I don't care if only 5 people walking past that billboard know my name. Of those 5, I need to say I'm watching because Dometi hosting it. And they added it. And that was an example I was giving of just asking. And sometimes, you don't know if you sound crazy for asking or arrogant. Like, who am I to say put my name on the billboard? I want to say put my picture on there. You know what I'm saying?
Which
But
they
like,
should have. No.
which and should have, but
And should have.
but all of those different things, like so, and I try as best I can to navigate and meet different people at different points in the company. A couple of years ago, before this podcast opportunity came, he's no longer with us because of the layoffs we talked about. But the president of the podcast was named Steve Reyes. I met him. Pitched him a podcast called What Went Wrong. It was a true crime podcast. I was in talks with Spotify about it. This was back in 2021 outside of Paramount. Fast forward, this idea comes. He meets back with me and says, yo, it's so great to meet you. I never even correct him. He didn't know that he'd met me already. But there were other people on his team that were familiar that I had been trying to pitch ideas, that I've been trying different ideas within the company. There's so many things that I pitch that don't even make it to air, but I'm constantly meeting with different people to try to push my line. So it's not like somebody's just picking me out of a box and saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Some of that I'm forcing my way in to some of these spaces. And I should do a little more of it. I can always improve on it. But yeah, I think that's a misconception. It's a lot of you get to the place and you have to fight or push and make yourself a part of the conversation. And it's not always talking to the boss. Sometimes it's talking to the producers, sometimes meeting with secretaries, so that when your name comes up, like I said on the Corner podcast, when your name comes up, they're like, okay, yeah, I know that person. I can vouch.
It'd be as easy as that.
Yeah.
Relationships, everything, man. And it's speaking of just relationships, we talk about Chicago creators a lot, and just what we doing for the city. We know, to me, one of my favorite ones to watch is FYB JMANE.
Oh yeah. That man is hilarious.
Yeah, JMANE is one of my favorite creators.
He be
to watch.
overwhooping sometimes, but that
Okay.
man be like,
It do hit different.
It do be hit different. It be
he do hit
overwhooping.
different.
Some might say he was overwhooping. This past go round when he pulled up to Oblock and there was a situation that happened, with some of the members of Oblock.
What was the situation for the people that don't know?
Oh, you just pulled one of me on me, huh? So from what I seen, JMANE comes from the other side of, you know what I'm saying, what they call the opposition. And I guess some of the people from Oblock wasn't liking the way how he pushed peace. And I heard this from a lot of people, some sources that say they don't really think the way how certain people are going about pushing peace can actually bring peace. Mainly because you have to think a lot of people didn't die, a lot of people are in jail behind some of these wars. So just because I'm cool with you, don't mean that all the homies is gonna be cool with what's going on. So you're gonna have pushback, and I think that's what happened when he pulled up to Old Block that time. It was just a little bit of pushback and on certain things and how he been going about it. So it just brought the conversation when a lot of the guys pulled up on him and was talking to him like, nah, he got to go on tour with all this. Like they ain't really fucking with that. Excuse my language. They weren't really messing with it and stuff like that. I didn't see Ike Muna's response, but I seen him and Ike Muna had some type of confrontation. And Ike Muna was like one of our Muna Ike was one of our
artists to watch this year.
This year. I rock with Shorty heavily. And he had a well-spoken response to it with JMANE and like the beef they had, the tension they had, and we're just saying we're not really on that. You know what I'm saying? It's still peace, whatever. And it just goes back to say like I guess what we get into with this conversation is how far do we have to like where's the boundaries we got to take to I can't say it the right way. Like, where does the boundary lies when it comes to creating this type of content, especially for those in Chicago?
Creating the content or creating content that quote unquote promotes peace.
Not even promote peace. Like he's going to Oblock, he's putting his life on the line to promote peace and putting himself in these environments. And I think Dometi said something earlier, and I was like, yo, I don't know if I want to get into that because it was always talk about the Zach TV shit. Like what happened to him with his shit, and then it was the theories that something happened to him because of his investigative journalism on that Kanika Jenkins shit. So it's just like us as independent content creators putting ourselves harm's way, putting ourselves in these positions. Like it hit different with me watching JMANE going through that because I know he's pushing peace, what he's trying to do. But at the same time, he's authentically him. So like he say over whooping or how he doing shit, it could come off comical a little bit. But it's like we said earlier in my statement, it's people that died behind this shit. It's people that serving 40 years behind this war. And you coming over here over whooping, doing the extra shit. It ain't even like you from our side coming to Oblock. You from the other side, you finna get hella views and get money off this shit. Like, so a lot goes into that shit. And I know I probably just said a lot and probably ain't have a real question, but I'm gonna just say what I say and put that shit out to y'all.
You're asking like, is there a line to cross when because I will think of the example of what if there was a 16, 17, 18-year-old boy that watched JMANE all the time. He know what's going on in the streets. He could be from that part of town, and and it could be somebody he go to school with. That's the op, So he walk up to dude, in a part of the school where he ain't supposed to be at, and he with his homies, and because he see what JMANE is doing, he feel like, okay, well I could push peace too, but it doesn't end the same way for a dude because he doesn't have, the clout or the fame that JMANE has, and it could end badly for him. So it's like things like that you have to watch too, like how you go about things, because there's a different generation that's watching you. There's a different generation that feels like, oh well, if JMANE could do it, I could do it too. So I'm not saying I don't think he was wrong for doing it, but I also feel like there was a different way for you to do that. Like, let's come to a neutral ground. Yeah. I don't gotta pop up over there.
Yeah, I don't know where the line is too. I think one person that does it well is Golden Child. I think Golden Child is, man, that's my brother, and sometimes I worry about him. I hope that he's safe. I hope he's covered by the Creator and all of the work that he's doing. I think there are ways to talk to who you need to talk to and do things in a setting that is appropriate for what it is that you're trying to do. And I think that sometimes cameras, when you're reporting on something, is just like when we're reporting on true crime stories. When cameras are involved, they're like, okay, what is the real intent behind this? But that's all I could say. I think it's a case by case basis on knowing where the boundaries are. and understanding, and even from the people who are like, yo, you got to understand where people are coming from when lives have been taken. There's a lot of grief and pain and anger that's still there. So, it's difficult to flip a switch and say, no, I'm not gonna get my lick back. You know what I mean? It's very hard. It takes a lot to be able to do that. That's why I commend the people who are pushing peace. But I also understand the anger of the people who are taking a little longer to get there. And then all of the stories behind the scenes that we may not know, conversations that have happened where peace talks have broken down for different reasons. I mean, it's crazy because it's almost like international conflict. It's like what's happening in the Middle East, right? They've been pushing peace for how many generations? It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Sometimes I feel like we so hard on our community where we're like, it's been so long. A lot of these deaths happened when they were 14, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, we got wars that have been going on for 40 years,
For
50
years.
years. And so it's just a microcosm of what's happening in the world. So I don't entirely know what the answer is, but I would apply the same things that you apply to wartime journalists when they travel to war zones. There is a danger there in the reporting, and you just got to be personally careful about how you handle it and what is tasteful, and making sure that who you're engaging with understands why you're doing what you're doing, and knowing that it's coming from a sincere place, which with everybody I mentioned, with JMANE included, I do think it's coming from a sincere place. I just think we're in a content creator place where what we're doing, especially if it has a chance to make an impact.
What's the last thing you said? Because it froze. Y'all heard him?
No, after impact.
Nah, I can't hear him at all.
They keep fixing it.
Yeah, my mic went out, but I was saying it's going to be
Okay.
broadcast. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it makes sense for it to be broadcast because it has a chance to make an impact. So, I hope that answer, but I don't really know where that line is. It's different.
Yeah, I don't think there's a specific line either. I just think that is if you do it and as long as you think about all of the possible aftermaths and decide to do it, I feel like that's your best bet. You got to be able to play damage control if this goes left, or be able to fix things if this goes wrong. Because there's a 50% chance that it could go wrong. Luckily for JMANE, it didn't. I feel like JMANE,
It didn't go all the way left.
It didn't go all the way left, but yeah. And also when he started pushing peace with Durk, it wasn't like a video at first. It was like he wrote something on Instagram. It's like a post, right? Sometimes, like you said, sometimes peace talks don't necessarily have to be broadcasted. I understand we live in a generation where it's like, if it didn't happen on video, it didn't happen. But things like this that could really like affect change within communities, you got to go about it the more righteous way.
So you feel like that was just him having that camera following him around, just pulling up on. I guess it's something that says
It's
like,
gonna rub some people the wrong. It might rub some people the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I seen it when news cameras come around to a certain community, like after a shooting or something happens, or it's like, the question always, where were you when we had this block party the other day, or this giveaway? That those questions happen. Like, people see a camera and they feel like you're trying to get an opportunity, and then sometimes there are different opinions. Some people are down with it, and some people are not going to be cool with what's going on as far as the peace talks go. You know what I'm saying? And everybody has merit to their opinion in some respect. I wish we
commend
could
him for
flip a
being a
switch.
peaceful brother.
Say it again.
Shout out to JMANE.
I said
Shout
I
out to
commend him
JMANE.
for being a peaceful brother. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
I can't wait till all of us get in the room. Like, I like.
We need to bring him on here.
Yeah. I want for sure. JMANE, if you watching this, we got to get you on the show. And it was crazy because I'm mad. I checked some DMs I had back in like 2021. He had reached out to me and shit, and I never seen that DM.
And you never saw it.
recently.
Yeah.
You be over whooping.
I be over whooping. But shout out to JMANE. But I would love to get like all of us just like Chicago content creators. We got to figure out like just us with these platforms. We all just need to just start talking more. You know what I mean? Because it's some things that we do that if certain people are getting to that space, we can just be like, hey, bro, if you gonna do that, like, you know what I'm saying? This is the type of etiquette that comes with doing that type of shit. And sometimes motherfuckers just don't be knowing. Like, they just be...
Yeah, sometimes they don't know.
Yeah, so I would love to, like, just for us to have those conversations. You don't have to take the advice, but I think we need... I know it's kind of like what Dilla was saying, like a union. like I know sometimes as creators we need just those different people in those spaces to give us those them gems that we not seeing or things that we don't know.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I think it's it's an interesting era too because I talk about journal like Zach TV was a journalist and you know there's a line between where you can be a content creator and then you do journalistic work and then you go back to being a content creator. You know, I think you can be both and go between those worlds, but I think that different rules apply for different things. And I think sometimes we need to share understandings of how different situations have worked. You know, what works well, when is it appropriate to do XYZ in what situation? You know, that just like I learned from the 48 Hours team, you know, even in how to navigate the conversation with, you know, Keely, the granddaughter of Ruthie Mae, how to navigate that conversation. We had a conversation about how to navigate me reaching out to her appropriately, you know? So it's all a learning thing. You know, you're not always gonna get it right, but I'm always gonna admire somebody who's taking a chance and trying to do something for the right reasons. You know.
Speaking of learning in these spaces, being in digital spaces, Twitter was going up because I guess the real question was when will minority women, or should I say black women realize that certain digital spaces we're not wanted in and we have to protect ourselves from it.
Why would anybody go to Fit and Fresh podcast?
I'm glad you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Why would you go there?
Why would you do that?
Why are you in that space? First of all, the show's not even good. Dude is obviously a goofy. He insecure, misogynist as hell. He brings around women that he feel like he could denigrate. I never seen him talk to a man with any of the smoke he talked to women with, but especially dark-skinned women. There's nothing to add to the conversation. He not there to learn. I ain't never heard anything. He don't get women. Nothing about him says he gets women. I don't know who's listening. I don't get it. I really don't get the appeal of the platform. He's one of my least favorite people on the internet. Myron, you're big goofy. Him and the other dude with the wrinkled
Don't see you going too hard. Wait.
Oh, sorry. I hate them dudes, man. I hate so many.
I don't like
I'm
them.
positive about a lot of people. I really don't like those guys, bro.
Literally, probably one of my least favorite podcasts I've ever seen. I think I probably watched like one full episode. It's very cringy, and I don't understand how can they watch back as an editor and be like, this is okay.
I don't get it. So I don't know. So
I watch that shit.
I stepped all over your question. It's a genuine question. What do people? Why did she go there? Like, what was she debate? I never saw that.
Yeah, like the debate is like why do you? Well, I understand. You know, black women, we always feel like we gotta save the world, save ourselves, and just like put ourselves in a position where we come out as superwoman. And I'm the one that told this man about himself and got him to get on Fresh and Fit podcast. I halfway believe that's what she thought was gonna happen. But no, it completely backfired. He came for her. I can't remember exactly like what escalated, but he came for her, as I feel like he personally comes for almost every dark-skinned woman that comes on the podcast, but he continues to let them on there because, of course, it's going to go up. And they got into it really, really, really bad to the point where she had to fight two of the girls that were actually protecting him. And just for women in general, and they don't have to specify it for women because I don't want y'all to speak on women, speak for women, but just women in general, like we have to do better at putting ourselves in spaces where if you trying to like be the missionary of a certain situation, like you don't have to go to that space. Like there's a way for you to save the world without putting yourself in the fire, if that makes sense.
So she went on there to save the world, like to try to,
I don't think
to tell
so,
him
but
off, to tell him off a little bit.
Yes,
that's what that was. I hate that.
This is my problem in general, right? We give so much attention. That's why intentionally sometimes when I talk about, I tried this practice several years ago and it's worked for me. Instead of giving attention to what I don't like, this album was trash, this show was trash, I'll talk about the thing or the person that's doing what I do like. And let's just uplift that. Like, so a lot of times, even when same with Kanika Jenkins when I did the true life crime story about her passing, I got a lot of negative comments and whatnot. I just never retweeted them. I only retweeted and posted positive stuff. I gave it life, and they just slowly disappeared a little bit. And I think similarly, we feel more. And there's studies that have shown that we'll react more viscerally to stuff that we don't like than things that we do like. So to take your black ass to Fresh and Fit because you hate the podcast, when there are platforms that uplift black women, I don't get it. And we're giving them more attention when I think we do need to talk about it. So, like, I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about it, but we get them more attention. Like, I remember I almost reposted and said something about it. I was like, no, I'm just gonna ignore this and post a show I do like. And like that, I think that's something that we all have to get over, where we're constantly talking about there's no this, there's no that. No, there are good content creators. There are people with integrity out here creating work that's educational. We just can't see it because our algorithm is showing all the negative stuff consistently. You know, so I don't know. I'll never
I feel
understand.
like there's room for like messy podcasts with boundaries. Like you could talk about your wild relationship stories. You could talk about, you know, things that you've done in your past that you probably, you know, would never do again without making it so negative. I don't know. I couldn't feel bad for her. Just like I didn't feel bad for the girl, what's his name? Gucci third leg girl. I didn't feel bad for her either. You put yourself in a situation.
Brianna.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
That's
You're
all I
not
need
wrong.
to
You're
hear.
not
You
wrong.
put yourself in that situation. There was a way. There was an out. You could have walked out the door. There was an out. You've been walking for 20 plus years. There was an out, and you didn't take it. And now you crying on the internet like it's not your fault. She did not. She could have got up and walked off Fresh and Fit. But instead, you had to go and fight two women that was protecting this man that just degraded you. And as women as a whole, no matter race, we need to do a way better job at that.
And mind you, I'm not even talking about like when I disrespect the podcast, I'm not even talking about just this ecosystem of like podcasts that are talking about like, you know, being macho and what it takes to be a man, blah, blah, blah. Because there are some hosts that are intelligent, and when they meet a rebuttal, they'll respond and there will be a dialogue. In this one, he has a speaking pattern that makes it sound like he's saying something intelligent, but he's not even intelligent. He's not well read. There's nothing that he adds. Like, you know, there are a lot of guys who have similar lines of thinking, who at least are like bloke crocs that write 2 times a day. So I don't even see how you could think that you would have a productive debate with that type of person. So also
Because
just
there's usually not even a debate. It's just a lot of talking.
it's just a lot of talking and yelling and he has I don't know.
We need a podcast committee in like the Supreme Court or something. Where they like you get like how we find we need to talk about, was it Lonzo Ball?
Oh, LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, like how you find basketball players for saying certain things, and it's like, bro, you ain't gotta say that. We need like a Supreme Court committee with podcasting. And I know it's free speech, but no, at this point, it ain't that free, baby. You gotta pay.
It's crazy. We need to bet.
Yeah, but honestly, I hope she learned her lesson, because I felt I was a little embarrassed for her, because my first thought was, girl, why was you even there?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I don't get
But
it.
we can't talk about Lonzo Ball. Is it
Wait,
Lonzo Ball?
real quick.
I'm saying the wrong one.
Can I talk about true to form? I'm going to follow my own advice. We are uplifting black women on the Women in Rap live showcase coming on MTV in like 5 minutes and 3 o'clock.
5 minutes.
Yeah, 3 o'clock Chicago time, 4 o'clock Eastern. I hosted a live showcase for Women in Rap Week every year for 5 years. It's the 5th year doing it. MTV highlights women MCs. All week posting nostalgic clips from women rappers on the page, posting their content.
Dope.
It's so dope. And this year we did a live showcase with Young Devin, Lady London, and Cleo Trapper, and I hosted the live showcase. So it's going live on YouTube. I think they're streaming on Facebook, on Twitch, TikTok, right after this. So if you want to uplift black women, go to that space. You know what I'm saying?
Going over there.
I almost forgot to plug that and invite people to check that out. But it's a dope showcase. And the performances were fire. The interviews were fire. It was super dope.
I love Lady London.
She's so cold.
That's dope. I'll be seeing it, man. Hey, you know, this might be a good time to just plug and say, you know, MTV. If y'all ever want to know,
Y'all want a live stream show?
Not even that, man. If y'all just, got some shit that y'all need to promo, let me come holler at us, man. Because you know, Dometi not gonna be on here every week.
I was gonna say I've been on the road with the yeses, man. Maybe I need to buy some advertising for this next project. You actually right. Let me see if I can talk to somebody and see what we can do. Cause
Go ahead, throw the marketing department our way. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hit 'em up. I ain't got no juice like that, but if I did, yeah, we gonna see. We gonna see. Nah, this is what it takes. This is what it takes, man.
For sure.
No, let's
It's
get
3.
that.
You want to wrap up or it is 3 o'clock?
It's 3. We talked about Fresh and Fit. We talked about social media. We talked about Dilla. Talked about Mona Ike. We don't got none. I don't think we got what is Netflix and Mike Tyson. We ain't got to talk about
Oh
that.
yeah, well, we do not have to talk about Mike Tyson and his cheeks being out and it buffering.
We ain't got to talk about that. I did want to.
That's insane.
I did want to get before we got here. I did want to get Dometi's perspective on the whole Smirk situation. You know what I mean? Like everything that's going on with him, like Lil Durk, with the arrest and just the state of just our music scene. Like how do you feel about it?
I think not saying that Durk was allegedly moved or swayed by this at all. Well, he actually made a lyric about it. These YouTube commenters with the slide for Vine and this whole movement where you got this generation of drill rap fans who are usually 13-year-old suburban white kids who are enjoying this back and forth that is going on. And I'm like, I remember the Durk line where he said, they say it's slide for Vine, but I ain't gonna use lyrics. It's like what the feds do. But, I think that hip hop culture and these new fans in hip hop culture have been celebrating these feuds and chronicling this back and forth. You got Trap Lord Ross, who actually did a very extensive job in going into what's going on with these wars and stuff. But then he does like this song with Adam 22. I don't know if y'all saw this. Did you see? So
He did a song?
Trap Lord Ross.
I don't pay attention to anything Adam 22 involved in. I'm sorry.
As you should. As you should. Trap Lord Ross, who did the King Von documentary and has for years been promoting and talking about the inner workings of the war going on in Chicago, did a song with Adam 22 from No Jumper. It was like a drill rap. It was terrible. And up to that point, I had never heard Trap Lord Ross, sound like a minstrel or dinner, like mock our culture in that way. And it could be argued that his work mocks the culture. That's a whole different discussion. But I bring that up to say Adam 22, Trap Lord Ross, these white guys, some dude from the UK, people who would never step foot downtown Chicago, let alone on Oblock, are out here telling these stories, commenting on these wars, commenting on the back and forth, who should have done what. I just want to get that out of the element of hip hop. I don't even want to comment directly on the Durk case, but I'm talking about academics who feeds that brand of content.
They feed into it, yeah.
They feed so much into it. And it hits these guys' egos. And you got record executives who were at the height of drill, were hiring artists and assigning artists and basically bankrolling the war, whether they knew it or not. You know what I'm saying? And so it's such a double-edged sword of how, we celebrate the music but want to shy away from the realness behind it. And then you got a whole bunch of fans that stoke and fan the flames. And that's like my least favorite thing in hip-hop right now. So I don't know. That's the only thing I could say about it, man. I'm upset with the fans and the way that the culture celebrates everything that's happening. And, we just got to wait to see how the court outcome happens with that Durk situation.
You are very well versed in media training.
He don't, because they killing me in the comments. They thinking my little soundbite. They thinking I'm saying like I want Durk to be in jail.
I mean, I'm glad you used that one and not the one I said.
Dang, what was your comment? You don't want to rehash it again? I missed it.
No, I'm cool on
what's your
reset.
comment?
No, I'm cool on. No, I don't want to talk about it no more.
Well, my shit basically, I just said that no one would have discredited Durk or been mad at Durk if he were to, like, after he overcame the loss of his brother, after he had to shoot out with his girl in Atlanta when they broke into his crib. Like, it was a lot of things. They beat the attempt murder, or was
the
it
first time with him and Vine.
Vaughn and Zoot, and they had a case in Atlanta. Like, you overcame all these things. I lost so many people. No one would have, discredited you if you would have just slowed down and just got out the fucking way and just made music. You know what I mean? And that's what I was saying. But then on the flip side of that, I also was saying like he's innocent to proven guilty. So none of this, all this is just alleged shit. But like also like a lot of these boys that we are talking down on, these YouTubers or people commenting, not knowing that these are young men that's growing up in front of our faces with no real guidance. Like they're making mistakes. They're becoming men in front of the world. So this is just basically, you say microcosm, this is basically showing you like what it's like to be a black male in Chicago coming from these conditions. Like that pressure of always having to be tapped into your block, taking people with you, you know? And he's the first person from him and Chief Keef and Durk and Herb and them. You gotta think about, they the first ones from the drill music. When he did that mural of all them people that died, all them people was dying. They made it out of from 2012 to fucking 2024. That's 12 years. Like they made it 12 years.
And they were kids when it started.
Yeah. Kids. So it's like I give them grace off that. Like, yo, you ain't nobody taught. Like you can teach the next drill artist how to move. They can't. Herb and them can teach the next drill way because they did it. But when they was coming up, they learning all this shit in real time.
Yeah. It's true.
So it's like that was my stance on it. Everybody think I'm saying like he should be in jail. It's like nah, like I get what's going on, but I also get when God give you signs, sometimes you might need to just move out the way real quick.
Back so that you're not even close enough to where something could be alleged that you know what I'm saying, involvement with it. Yeah. I don't think
I'm with you, Dometi, on making sure like or trying to push that part of the culture like the Adam 22s and the trolls it also starts with us, like our communities not going on these platforms and not big enough and like not being able to be like, yeah, I'm going on Adam 22 because I want to treat, just like the girl that went on Fresh and Fit. Like a lot of people go on Adam 22 like, yeah, I'm finna treat him, I'm finna like, was it 16 shot that spit on him or something like that?
He spit on Poetic Flacco.
Yeah.
Ruger went on there and argued with
Ruger.
Yeah.
Reason I don't have too much of a problem with what happened with Ruger was because he and Adam had a somewhat of a personal relationship. He had been on before. They were talking and DMing. And I actually, now I sound hypocritical because I said don't go on the podcast, but I actually enjoyed seeing Adam 22 has all of these black lackeys on his show that is allowing him to be so disrespectful to the culture. And I enjoy seeing Ruger tell him to his face, I think they could have been done a different way. I think there's a lot of, regressive things that happen. I don't promote any like threat of violence with him and the security and all of that. But I enjoy seeing somebody say, yo, you should actually stop playing. These are real lives. And he started off respectful. He was like, I get what you're saying, but bruh, just calm down. You're talking about someone's mother, my best friend's mother, or cousin's mother. You're talking about somebody's brother who passed away. This isn't wrestling. You know what I'm saying? This is real life, And so I get it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know what we thought was going to come of that because Adam loves clickbait. So of course he's going to take it to the limit to make sure something go viral. But
yeah, it's like if you gonna go up there, I would respect more of how you say Ruga talk to him, or who was that Big Mister back in the day? What was that show? Everyday Struggle.
Everyday Struggle.
When he came to academics.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, like I respected Vic for doing that, and I was like, in my head, I'm like Vic ain't even finna, but he did it. I respect it.
Yep,
we need more of that. Instead of just telling your negative story, let's get more of, hey, I'm finna check you because you study playing with my city.
I even like the fact when shout out to Tay Savage. I like when he checked the little shorty, young SRT. Yeah, because I guess little RT was talking shit Vaughn, and Tay Savage saw him like, yeah, you talk shit about my little home. You talking crazy about my home. Of course, Tay Savage did it in a respectful, like he was a little kid. But I'm glad that he did that and he showed that because it's a lot of little kids that's gonna think that's cool
because they think it's cool. Like
it's like nah,
they think everything that come out their phone is entertainment.
You gonna have to bump into some of these people that you talking to, and shorty black, so it's a different when a white boy doing. And I hated that shit because he just talked about white people in hip hop. It's a whole different when them white boys start talking about that shit than black people. And that's that's my thing with like JMANE and you at 16. It's like, I'm never going to talk down about the content y'all making, but y'all don't understand. Y'all don't have that same barrier that Adam got. Like y'all can say or give somebody the wrong platform or do something, and it's a chance like.
Something real might happen.
Something real. Like, like I love like iHeart. Right, so we're gonna knock on wood, but like buildings like iHeart, like you have to like get name on the list and shit. to come upstairs,
I
right?
was gonna say not too much on my job, G.
Yeah,
Okay.
but in these independent places, people can find you outside, bro. Like
Well, even with Charlamagne and he was coming up out of iHeart, so it ain't that much protection.
Joe Budden was talking to Joe Budden. I remember Joe Budden talking about this, like, yo, like Complex didn't want to get him security, and he's like, yo, we can't be on these shows talking about these people, and y'all not gonna have no security downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
And these are people that y'all want us to talk about. Like the producers are telling us to talk about these stories.
These type of stories.
Y'all gonna have to protect us.
So that'd be my thing. Like I said, we're gonna knock on wood and put that in the air, but that'd be my thing when it comes to us. Like the white boys be having that level of I'm white, so it's like the episode of Boondocks and they having the N-word moment. And it was like when the two dudes went at it, and when the white dude was finna get into it, the black dude, he's like, wait, I'm white, and he just laughed at him like, why you arguing, man? Just kept it walking.
He just walked off.
It's like. Like they don't have to worry about that shit.
We even talked about that on CandyMan, where all these white people were scared to go to the projects, and they said no. Like the film crew was going with the director to go to Cabrini Green to scout the projects, and the film crew association was so scared, and the consultant walking with them was like, "Don't be scared, y'all white. They're gonna assume you either police or a social worker, or that if they do something to y'all, they're gonna get locked up." And I'm like, dang, how can an outsider be safer in our community than us? And I even saw this with. That's why I loved a lot of what Zach TV was doing, because, Noisy, he was one of the only people that could go in these spaces and report and do things on both sides. I always thought it was interesting how Noisy and Vice and all of these people could have these white reporters come into the hood and they would get access to everything. Everything. And we don't trust each other that same way. Like, we got to really reimagine and rethink how we maneuver. That's why it's hard for me to even comment on Durk, because it's so complex. That there are things that if I was speaking on this even if I was speaking on this on MTV, I could probably say more than I could say on this platform because it's a black platform. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting when you think about it, because it takes it like to a real Chicago street level, where if I do it there, I'm just reporting. It's
crazy.
It's backwards. It's so backwards.
It's like that shit crazy. That's psychology. You just saying that black and white. Before we close out, I want to say it's this thing on Netflix called Mind Hunters. They talk about how serial killers became a thing before like that. And one of the episodes they was in Atlanta, and they was like, they say serial killers usually don't kill. They was like, the reason why they knew the serial killer was a black guy, and it's a story that I didn't even know about, when all them Atlanta kids ended up got murdered in the late 80s. Like it was, I don't know, nobody know about this, but it was like 22 to like 30 black kids came up missing in Atlanta, and that was a big thing to them. But they went there and they was trying to figure out, like, the white police officer, FBI agent, and he was like, yo, I know the killer has to be black because I'm a white guy in this neighborhood, and by everybody seeing me, they didn't fuck with me. Like how Dometi just said, they didn't know I was police or something. Like, so I couldn't lure these kids to me like that, because they gonna see this white dude like, nah, you don't supposed to be over here. You know what I mean? Opposed to if it was a black guy, oh, you just probably such and so. What you want me to do? And it was easy for the kidnapper and whoever the killer was to be a black guy. Yeah. So that psychology just told me we talked about that.
See, we got to change it.
Backwards.
We got to rearrange it. That's why I'm going to shout out Golden Child one more time. He was standing out. There's a clip he posted. He was standing outside a liquor store, and they wanted him to leave, and he walked in and told them, he was like, nah, he told the store owner, like, yo, nah, we pushing peace outside. I know you want us to leave. We're going to leave in a minute. But I love that he changed the idea of what black men congregating looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want us to be able to walk through a crowd of young guys and say, hello, what's up? And walk in, get what we need to get, and go home. And not have to feel like we got to be on guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different.
Man, listen. When you see little bro them out there, you be looking like, man.
Okay. Here we go, man.
And that be like the biggest fit.
I turn to the Unc when I see them. How you doing, young man? All right, God bless you.
Y'all good? Y'all okay? Y'all need
all right
anything?
out
I'm finna go stuff.
That'd be like the biggest thing when you be, especially don't be with your lady, and you just see a bunch of motherfuckers. You be like, man, I just hope they don't be on that shit today. Like you ain't scared of nothing, but you just be like, yo,
You
today.
don't got time for it. Like, I'm just trying to go to the theater with my lady, man.
And it's always one person out the clique that gonna do some extra shit. Like motherfucker, usually they don't understand. Like a lot of our young brothers are respectful, so you'll be like, "Excuse me," so they be, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Miss Lady, come through, let you do your thing." But you every once in a while you get one person that just want to be ignorant. And I don't care what race that is. That could be a bunch of white. It's always that one person that's just gonna do some ignorant shit to fuck up the vibe.
Just extra.
Just doing some extra shit. But man, this was a good show, man. This was a good show.
Man,
Yeah, we gotta have
appreciate
Shermann and
y'all.
Dometi on more often, man.
Man, I would love to, man. Just hit me, shoot. Let me go and be in two places at once. But I'm about to go to MTV. Check out MTV Live right now, y'all. And can y'all listen to the podcast? Let me know what y'all think for real. At least episode 1. Let me know what you think.
I'm gonna listen to it.
I'm gonna make sure everybody on staff, everybody in the studio, we gonna listen to it.
Bet. And then, and if you got only say the good stuff on air, and then the notes you can hit me on the side.
That's our new strategy now. Only say the good stuff on air.
But I appreciate y'all, man. You know I love the platform. I love everything y'all doing, Joe. And man, thanks for having me on. I've been trying hard as ever to push this podcast, and hopefully people check it out and appreciate the work. And thank you for making me feel as big as I know I am. I appreciate y'all.
We love you, Dometi.
Love you too, man. Love you too, brother.
Thanks,
Hey,
y'all.
before we go out, I just gotta get this. Dometi, what music you listen to right now?
Oh, man. I just listened to who just dropped. I gotta look. Y'all in tune with Matt Comey?
That name sound familiar.
It's like obscure. It's on that Griselda type of time. I've been listening to
I know
Matt
you talking about.
Comey.
Yeah, I know you talking about.
I've been listening to Doechii lately. I've been on some obscure, like, on that hip hop wave.
Cody hates Doechii.
Quit
You hate
saying
Doechii?
that.
What?
Ask everybody in the room. They shaking their head. Cody is
I like
a Doechii hater.
I love Doechii. I just feel like Chris came in here and overhyped the project. I thought it was gonna be something real classic, like Out the Mind.
Okay.
But it's good music, but it's not like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like Sir Chasing Summer. It's not like Good Kid, Mad City. You know what I'm saying?
You name
Like,
it. Sir Chasing Summer is a phenomenal album too. Oh, and Righteous Man by Ab-Soul. I've been getting into that album too. But that Doechii album, I saw her live before I got a chance to listen to her music. I went to a festival, and she's really that. She's really that. She's a amazing live performer. But Ab-Soul, Doechii, and this Leon Thomas Mutt album too.
okay, I'm
My
listening.
favorite right now.
I'm listening to that Mutt right now too. So shout out to Dometi, telling me what you listen to.
Yes, sir.
And watch this episode and follow us on Instagram to figure out what we listen to. Great episode. Tune in to MTV, guys, right now. Make sure y'all go get that podcast. 48 hours. CandyMan, Dometi. This is Cody. This is Bree. Shout out to everybody in the studio.
We go.
See y'all next Wednesday. We out.